All right. And we are live. The last word with LordCognito, Ebontis, Tie Guy Travis, fresh on that Thursday evening campfire. Good to be back at the campfire. E, how we doing, man? What's going on with you?
Doing good. Yeah, got some nice news in the TWAB this week. Been playing a little Iron Banner. Bungie made a nice move in Guardian games that was good to see. Jumped into the first hour of Tunic, which was cool. I have no idea how long that game is. In the first hour, I rang one bell. If you know what that means, you may know, but I was like, so far, it was like, I played Elden Ring. It was like 113 hours, put a pin in that. And I was like, all right, I need a couple small palette cleansers. I have a few of in mind. And that was the first one I jumped into, like just into stream one night. And it was nice. That fox is ridiculously adorable and cute. And I can see where but the combat definitely is going to be, I'm going to see probably a couple challenging moments. There's going to be a boss or two that'll probably annoy me. Nothing like Melania or anything, but should be fun. But overall, just been kind of jamming in the last couple weeks of the season as we cannot wait for what's coming soon. And they are holding it all close to their chest, but we'll get to that. So what about you, Travis? What have you been up to, man? Reviewing all the worst games that are made?
How dare you, sir? Yeah, I'm reviewing Evil Dead, the game right now. I think I mentioned that last week. Maybe I didn't. But yeah, that's the one I'm working on now. Should have that up end of next week, I'm hoping. I'd like to. We got code super late, which is sometimes not a good sign, but it is an online multiplayer game. So
it's like if I had to get my guess for a rating on that, and I'm just going to throw it out into the universe, I'm going to guess a 6.
Have you seen gameplay of it, or you?
No, I have not. I'm just going to guess a 6. That's all I'm going to guess. We'll see.
Okay.
Just because it's an isometric multiplayer, and I have little faith in those. We'll see how it goes.
No comment.
No comment.
Comes out tomorrow.
Goes.
Oh, when's that? I guess the embargo must be soon.
The embargo will be soon. So he's saying 0 out of 10 just because I'm reviewing it. Thanks, G-Man.
I mean, it's a 2 to 3, 2.5 out of 10. That's what it's going to be. So,
yeah. I had a meeting with Mitchell Saltzman. I was in a meeting with him a couple days ago, and I pointed out that in that last month, he reviewed one game that was equal in score to 3 of the games I reviewed that month.
Wow.
He just did Salt and Sacrifice, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He gets all the good ones. Rogue Legacy 2 as well, another game I'm really enjoying.
That I do want to try. That's kind of on my list to give an attempt to.
Super fun. A little grindy, but yeah, I'm playing that when I have time. And obviously playing Destiny. Got all my Iron Banner stuff done. I guess the Guardian Games quest isn't really mandatory since it just skips you forward 5 steps if you don't complete the ones from the previous week. Because I didn't do really any Guardian Games last week, and I opened it. It's
on a weekly basis.
Step 6, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait for this.
Yeah, the medallion thing is like weekly based, and the score is weekly based. So like, if whatever happened last week, you were going to get bumped to week 2 no matter what.
Yeah, so not really feeling Guardian Games this year. Kind of feels like there's not a lot to do, but I did enjoy Iron Banner. Played a lot of Crucible.
What's the loadouts looking like? What you shooting out there? What's the loadout?
You can probably guess one of mine.
Oh yeah, you bringing it back to old dad bods? You doing Insidious out there?
Insidious is in there. The only issue is I've actually been trying to mess around with the title just to use it since we got it. That gun feels better than the numbers show. I will say I've actually been getting some decent work in on it. Finally got a couple good rolls, and then paired with that, I've been running either Peace of Mind up on the top, or honestly, I'm still jamming on my syncopation that I've been using since like day 1 in Witch Queen. I like my syncopation, so pulses of course, but actually kind of getting
messing around with like sidearms, submachine guns. Sidearms are kind of meta right now. They're really damn good. Shotguns a little bit. Fusion rifles are kind of OP. I'm trying to stay away from those because they feel cheesy. But I actually have just been challenging myself to get through all my red weapons. I have a bunch of red frames, and so I've just been going into Crucible with like 3 red
random
frames
loadouts.
Random loadouts. See if you can make it work.
That's not a bad way to mix it up.
Yeah, like every 3 matches, you get all 3 of the frames done. You know, even if you're not getting heavy kills because you get progress just for completing matches on your heavy weapon. So it's a pretty good way to do things. So I actually managed to get through, I think, all of them after playing like a bunch on Tuesday. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm done with Iron Banner quest line and all that. So probably gonna, I don't know. I guess take a break for a couple weeks. Wait for the new
Just
season
wait.
to come
Yeah,
out.
wait for Monday or Tuesday, and then obviously it's News Central, so we'll be there.
For sure.
Cog, what about you? You find
Been busy,
time
man.
for how's today been?
It's been insane for me. Honestly, it's not been much Destiny at all, sadly. But yeah, it's just been so much going on with news, and obviously we know what broke today is reference to Xbox and Starfield and Redfall. So I had to double up on Duke. Did
Yeah,
an
I gotta
emergency
watch.
one.
That better be up like tomorrow. I gotta watch.
It's processing, so we got it done. We'll have some fresh opinions, raw reactions to the news. So it'll be good to
Did
do.
you
right
guys
there.
record that reaction before he did his reaction solo?
Yes.
Okay, so yours is even a hotter take than
Yeah,
his
because
that I saw.
I woke him up with the news.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
That boy
"Right, you
needs to
need
get
know
up.
that."
When's he sleep till the afternoon?
Oh, he's a vamp. He's a vampire. He's like how I used to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing that. I can't talk about one game that I'm playing,
Oh,
but the other thing is because of that game, it took me away from Trek to Yomi, which I'm like very early in, but I was really getting into it. Shout out to Travis's review. I want to shout you out, man. That was excellent review. I watched the video one. I really enjoyed it. Gave me a nice feel of that. So that's that. But look, we've been rambling long enough.
indeed.
We got a special guest here,
Exactly.
waiting patiently. You know what I mean? We got to bring him in a little bit.
Let's officially start the podcast now.
Yeah, let's do that.
Welcome to The Last Word, episode number 197. This week, the hype for Season of the Redacted, still redacted by the way, got a bit louder, and our first new map in years is coming to Destiny 2. And a new game mode, but not too much of that, but we'll get to that in a minute. More changes are coming to PvP next season, and man, do we have the right guest to talk about all things Crucible. Our guest tonight is one of true focus. While he may not have played that many different games, he does like to go full send on the ones that he does. From RTS, MMORPGs, and now Destiny, each one of those games has tons of systems, optimizations, builds, and playstyles to learn. That's what makes our guest so good at what he does. He can take a complicated game like Destiny 2 and make a guide that will help you with some of the simplest yet most important things that can help you be a better player in every facet of the game. Outside of having some epic tier lists and true mythbuster prowess, if you don't learn something after watching one of his playstyle guides, you really were not paying attention. So, let's welcome a man who never likes to take his eye off the target, and God forbid his eye is on you, because you're going to be dead. Someone who understands the psyche of each Guardian all too well, and someone you know has so many Crucible medals that they truly had need to invent more before he gets any new ones. A leader at Team Synergy, recently passed 100,000 subs on his YouTube channel, full-time content creator and man of true focus, just check his advanced CG collection, the one, the only, Shadow. How you doing, man?
Wow, nice intro. Thank you so much. It's good to be here, dude. Thank you.
We are happy to have you, man.
Shadow in the campfire, man. We got to get into it, man. Like, I know we're going to get the Destiny stuff, but I got to get the history stuff. So not too many games, but I noticed RTS, which I thought was interesting. Like, what kind of gravitated towards you towards those type of games, and also any turn-based or just strictly RTS?
I think I played a little bit of Civilization, which was turn-based, but mostly RTS. And I guess I just kind of got into them because my dad was when I was really little, and he kind of introduced me to them. So that was kind of where I got my start in gaming, I guess you could say. And I played those for a few years, and eventually moved on to other games. But yeah, that's kind of where I started out.
So was it Age was the hook, like Age of Empires?
Yeah, I think that was probably the first one that I got into.
Got it.
That's a classic. Was it 3 that you played? Because I played Age of Empires 2 growing up a ton.
I've played 3. I've never played 2 actually, even though I know that one is rather popular among the hardcore Age of Empires fans. So
it was just when I got into it. Same thing. It's like it's probably just what was out when you got into them for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm just got one question, E, before I get back to you. And then transition. This is unique now. The WoW. I gotta ask the WoW, because the WoW community is very distinct. That's a community. So it's like, how did that start before all the Destiny stuff too?
I think a few of my friends played it in school, and we would play it together and do like raids and stuff. And then eventually I just got really into WoW and like became like a competitive raider. So that was pretty fun. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I think I placed pretty highly in a few like competitions and stuff. So that
Ooh.
was fun. But I guess I don't know. I was still a fairly casual gamer at that point, but that was probably the first game that I was the most invested into.
What expansions were you, I guess, part of? Because it's been going on for way too long now.
So I think I got into it towards the beginning of Mists of Pandaria, and then I played WoD, and I quit during the beginning of Legion, I believe.
Okay. So some of the more recent ones. Feels like.
Yeah.
Nice.
Was not an OG player from back in the day, but
No,
yeah.
that just probably makes us tell our age and we're old. So that's all that really means.
No doubt, no doubt.
I also didn't play games as a really little kid.
But yeah, it didn't sound like it.
Really?
Yeah, I was fairly like restricted when it comes to technology when I was really young, so I didn't really get into these things until I
Oh,
was
you
in,
grew
like,
up
middle
Amish.
school.
Nice.
No, but it felt like it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I didn't really get into anything until like middle school, high school, and yeah. So now I've graduated high school a few years ago, just for context.
Oh,
Oh,
you
my-
hella young.
oh,
I'm
he a
21.
baby.
You just got your first beverage? Are we that age? Or
Oh, we
I'm
leave?
21, so yeah.
oh, okay, yeah.
You got the card you at the door, sir. I don't know.
That baby face is working real hard on him right now. So
Yeah, what's going on?
21 and you're not on camera, man. Come on, you got the least wrinkly face in the group, and you're
yeah, how do
hiding
you
it?
let
Let's
how do you
see
let
it.
all of these mugs show up you? Come on, what are we doing?
Listen, he keep keeping it to his namesake, Shadow. I'm a
That
ninja,
is
so I
true,
can
yeah.
relate.
It's
Leave me
true.
alone.
No, you know what he should have done? He should have done the black outline with the
Yeah.
monster's voice.
Like
you
a
know?
light
know,
behind him, so it's just the
Yeah.
silhouette.
Tell us
how
what
you-
happened.
Yeah.
Face reveal. Psych. Nope, it's just a silhouette.
Yeah, silhouette reveal. This is the
Complete dark
shape of
room.
my body. Yeah.
Mhm. So
In one of my
being
videos, I showed a video of my hands on the controller to like reference something.
has
and people are
hands!
like, oh my gosh, shadow hands reveal.
Hands confirmed. Yep.
No
That's like one
doubt,
of those
man.
random things, especially when you've got as far as you are. I did mine on when I got to do a cool guest spot, but it was more. It gets to be a point where you go long enough, and you're like, "Do I ever show it, or is there a point in doing
Right.
it?" Or then it's like when I do
Yeah.
it, it's never going to be like good enough. But yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I just don't have a camera, and I don't want to use like my really crappy like laptop webcam or anything like that. So I mean,
That's
I think
always-
I'm probably just gonna invest to get like a nice camera eventually. But
yeah.
I just haven't really had a reason to, just because the type of content that I make doesn't necessitate having a camera, and I don't stream all that often. So, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, that could always change in the future.
No doubt, no doubt. So you're coming from WoW, you got all, kind of casually into it. Then this Destiny thing. How did this thing
Yeah,
start for you, sir?
I have a really funny story about this actually. So I was actually just talking to one of my friends that I've known since I was like 4. And he and another one of my friends went in to buy me Destiny 1 as a birthday present in 2014. And at the time I was just like, I wasn't really into it because I was still playing WoW. But then a few years later, I actually got into Destiny and have been playing ever since. So it's actually wild to me because like if that didn't happen, if they didn't give that to me as a birthday present, I probably never would have gotten into this game. And yeah, it's literally kind of crazy to think about because I mean it has become my job at this point. So
Crazy. And Hunter Main, that was the
Yeah.
first.
Hey, he
yeah.
balances out the pod. I will say, like, yes, 2 Titans, 1 Warlock, but like, I'm glad to have a Hunter on the podcast for balance. Sometimes we need you guys in here, even though we can't keep your feet on the floor. So,
Speaking of
I mean,
balance,
as
how
you were
does it
just
feel
saying, I
to
mean,
be
I couldn't be a Shadow and not be in the Invis Hunter. So
Fair
Right.
enough. Good, Trav.
Also, Shadow is your name because you're currently living in the Warlock and Titan Shadow in Gorlock
Oh!
Guardian.
crap.
burn.
Hey, I mean, that's totally fine with me. You can shoot the Warlocks and the Titans while I sit behind them and snipe you. It's fine with me.
Okay, cannon fodder, and you'd be like, I'll just watch, and I'll wait till they're in my sniper scope.
I'll hide behind the beefy Titan. It sounds like a good game plan, honestly.
Yeah,
There's a lot of surface area.
yeah. I was gonna say those shoulder pads are about a building wide, so you got some room back there to move around.
No doubt. What is? Oh, no, get it.
No, go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just gonna say one of the videos I really appreciate that you made is kind of like the different stages of a Destiny
Yes.
player, and
Oh,
it's so hilarious. It is that like that wonder phase, and they're just getting into it, and then you see the advancement of it, and it's just like I think the funny thing is when you the try hard. That was hilarious. Like, tell me, like the construction of that video, and was it all based off of personal experience or observation of like friends and different players that get into the game?
Oh, it was a combination of everything. I try to do a lot of research for every video I make, and this one was no exception. So it was some personal experience, some asking friends, some asking like my community, my Discord server, and stuff, people like that, just to try to get as many wide opinions as I can. Because I ultimately for that video, I wanted to create something that was accurate for the largest number of people possible. I mean, obviously, not every single Destiny player can be fit into the 10 stages of progression in the video, but I wanted to just make like a really entertaining and typical and like relatable 10 stages. So
Love it.
I just kind of researched everything and used my own personal experience with the game and my friends and yeah,
Bro.
everybody.
I
My
mean,
personal.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. One last. Yeah, I know I'm interrupted. My personal is the return because they talk all of that. And then they come right back, and then you say, "Yup, there's new content, new expansion, new marketing trailer, new missions, and all that go out the window." So I was like, "Yeah, that is accurate," because I know those dudes.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
again, I had to give him
No,
props
no,
on the
no.
return.
And
one.
that was like the one for me, specifically on the hunter one that you did like that, the stages of being a hunter. Number 3 is too amazing. You're like, oh, I've learned how to dodge. Load into the game, dodge. Shoot my gun, dodge. Oh, there's an enemy, dodge. I was like,
Dodge is
it's
just ingrained into the hunter brain. You
Yeah.
can't not dodge.
cooldown is up, dodge. Why? Just to dodge? No, it was like that was just the way all the different little examples it's a really cool way that you'll like make fun of something like that, but everybody's like, yep, 100% accurate. I feel like I've been called out, but I can't say he's wrong. So no, for me is one of the cool things that I like what you've done is like one of the ones that really I think caught my eye a while ago. It just took a while to get you on is the 40-60 rule. And then just some of those things to help you in PvP is like it's the idea of changing the way you think about a game and changing the way you think about your engagements, changing the way you look at the environment, changing your placement, and all those little things that you as a high level PvP player obviously know. And when you hear like the high skill people talk, you're like, yeah, these guys know exactly what they're doing, but it's just the way you can phrase something to make somebody realize, be like 40% cover, 60%, environment with somebody in front of you. Like that's something somebody can wrap their head around. And I really like the way that you did that. So it's like when you were going through like your top 10 things to improve your KD, as Travis, I'll beat you to it this time. We have a long running segment on air here where certain content creators will help me specifically, since I'm the PvP schlub, try and get a little better at the game. So I know I've seen those couple. So if I've seen those two, if I've seen the 40-60 and I've seen, some of those things to improve your KD, what is one of those like a little more nuanced things that you would say is still universally applicable that's going to help somebody improve their Crucible performance?
I don't know. I guess probably positioning. I guess it is related to the 40-60 rule, but not necessarily the same thing. I think like the number one thing that people look over is positioning relative to teammates, positioning relative to cover, and positioning relative to the opponent's spawn. Because a lot of people will play really aggressively near the spawn, and no matter how many enemies you kill, they're just gonna spawn right back up if you're in 6v6, right? So if you're playing up towards the spawn, you're kind of screwing yourself. So if you play closer to your teammates and closer to cover, it just exponentially increases your chances of surviving, and just being able to get more kills. So I don't know. I think people talk about movement a lot. They say like, there's the movement skill gap, and I don't know. Personally, I consider positioning to be a part of the movement skill gap, but I feel like people associate movement with like, oh, the hunter jumps, in the air, or you slide a lot. But I don't know. To me, a big part of movement is where you choose to position yourself relative to cover teammates and the spawn.
Makes sense. So I would say when it comes to positioning, how much would you compare, say, like map knowledge? Like, okay, this ought to be interesting. Rank the importance of like these things.
Okay.
Understanding map lanes, like understanding a map, like map knowledge, teammates, and radar knowledge. Where's your
Hmm.
importance on those three?
I guess it depends on the game mode. Because I don't know. I think radar has probably got to be the top one just because the radar is so powerful in this game. Um, Teammates is a close second. Map knowledge probably last. I think like you could put me on the brand new PvP map, and I know nothing about it, and I'd probably still play fine. So I mean I think having a knowledge of like basic like how cover works in the map and like knowing what a common lane is in the map, I guess that stuff's important, but not anywhere as close to as important as teammates and radar in my
mean,
opinion.
You say that, Shadow, but who knows? You may just have recency bias because you don't know what it's like to have a new Crucible map. You know,
Yeah, that's a good point.
you've been living so long that you don't even remember what it was like, where that was an obstacle to have to
Yeah.
remember a new map. Yeah, so
It's
who knows?
true. I do remember playing the new maps, but I don't know. I feel like
You weren't even
after
legally an adult the last time
my.
Destiny came out with a new map.
Okay. Even with that, I mean, I feel like after a few games, I get like a basic knowledge of how the map works. And then beyond that, there's just like small optimizations of like, oh, this is good cover, or oh, this cover sucks because I can just get surrounded or something. But I mean, beyond that, I feel like map knowledge is fairly fundamental.
No doubt.
All
I got
right,
a
so
question
that's the tip. Look at your radar, everybody. It's important.
There you go.
Gives you
That's
a lot of
this,
information.
It's
this has been
ridiculously
our
powerful.
long-running
Like,
segment. Let's help Ebontis. And you know I've succeeded at establishing the segment when I no longer have to introduce it or force it.
When you
Ebontis
embrace
intros
it,
it himself.
yeah. When you
Beautiful.
learn to embrace it, it's time. Yeah.
I mean, okay, to be clear, I think the radar is extremely important just because it's extremely powerful, but I feel like it's also like fairly intuitive. Like you just look at the radar. I'd say that positioning is a bit more nuanced.
Yeah.
I like and your teammates. So when you ask the ranking of the importance, I would put radar above teammates, but like if you think about like the complexity and like the skill level, then I would probably put like playing together with your teammates above that.
Yeah. Especially in trials, for example. That's one thing for me. I've played since freelance trials started. I've played more trials than I probably ever have. Now, granted, it's a mixed experience because I'll go into trials against 3 stacks, which is still painful, which I hope we'll get to a question here in a second. But freelance is one of those. There is rare benefit to like going off to flank when you are in freelance. But man, when you try and stick together and then you're like, okay, everybody's together, and the dude peels off to the other side, that is extremely frustrating, even on my like low level. So I can only imagine positioning at high level, especially if you're going 3s. Like, yeah, it's gonna make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me how positioning and movement and teammate coordination changes so much, like 6v6 relative to 3v3, because like especially towards the beginning of Destiny 2 and in Destiny 1, I was much more into 6v6 than I was into 3s and trials. So like I kind of got my foundation in Crucible from 6v6, and then transitioning to 3v3, I kind of had to learn a lot more about coordination, because when you're just playing with blueberries, it's a bit different. You just kind of have to generally be near them so that they can support you and you can support them. I mean, it's much more basic than coming up with like a coordinated 3v3 strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask you specifically, because we don't get hunters on a lot. So what I wanted to ask you specifically was kind of like 2 things. One, with the recent TWAB, with a lot of the aerial kind of, say nerfing, but you're gonna have to spec out into it, right? If you want to play an aerial style and accuracy and everything that comes with it, you're gonna have to spec. So 1, as a hunter, how does that affect your game? And then 2, have a good friend of mine who's very high in my clan. He's a hunter main, and man, does
you gotta call him out by
complain.
name. You can't be this.
Shout out to Sinister. Sinister, you here?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Sinister. He complains a lot about, and this is the source of his frustration, that Bungie always finds a way to take the fun away from the hunters, especially in PvP. That that they're quick to nerf the hunters, and the Titan is kind of, and the Warlocks are kind of lesser there. They if they have an exploit running in PvP, like it kind of lasts a little longer. He firmly believes it. He feels like Bungie hates hunters. I'm just gonna put it out there.
There are examples of all of those. There are examples of every class, being nerfed. Like Warlocks with Stasis were done in like 5 days. I mean, that melee was shot to hell. But I mean, you've got Titans, things that Loreley was killed in, I think, 3 seconds, but then One-Eyed Mask lived for a while. So you've got examples of all of them.
I
It's so
just want
funny.
to I want to speak for the hunter community here. Again, he's not here to speak for himself, so I have to be his spokesman. So as a fellow hunter, one, airborne stuff, you're affecting your gameplay. What's your thoughts? And then two, do you think Bungie's a little hard on your class?
Okay, number one, airborne. It really depends on my loadout. Sometimes, like if I use like a pulse rifle and a sniper, I'm not jumping very much. If I use a hand cannon and a sniper, I'm probably going to be jumping a lot more. Those are probably my top 2 loadouts that I use. So if I'm going to be using a hand cannon, I might spec a bit more into in-air stuff. If I'm just using a pulse rifle, then probably not as much. I am a hunter, but I am a hunter main. I almost exclusively play hunter, but I'm not the typical hunter that flies like headfirst at Mach 10 24/7. So I do have a bit more of a back of the map sniper play style. So
Have you seen him
I
snipe?
won't say that I won't be. I don't think that the in-air thing is going to affect me too much overall. But I am really interested to try out some builds with it. And then number 2, does Bungie hate hunters? I think I've mentioned this in my it's the 10 stages of the hunter that stages that they think that Bungie hates the hunters, and I really do not think that is the case whatsoever. I think that all the classes think that. Like especially on Twitter, like I feel like every day I see a tweet of someone thinking that Bungie hates their class, but I really do not think that's the case at all.
Okay. No, I had to go straight to the source. I mean, this is some of the conversations I hear from fellow hunters, and they just, they always come to me like, "Cog, the minute we have something that's, advantageous, whether it be Shadow Dive or, whatever, it's like
Shadow Dive got to live.
Shadow Dive was
plenty
13
long.
months, dude. Like
But
Shadow Dive was
their
the most
argument is like that's
OP
one of the
ability.
few times, right, that they get a chance to rock out where, they say the other classes, whether Titan Warlock, we running around with handheld Supernova and extra long and Titans running around.
Yeah, I was going to say, in chat,
extra long.
Odysseus said, Stompies has been good to go for about 5 years. So that's what I actually wanted to ask you about is everybody felt like, every hunter got, shot in the kneecaps when Stompies are getting this inner accuracy penalty. And I wanted to ask you, because you had things like Ophidian Aspects, which are really good for neutral game for Warlocks, which are very popular. That actually got like a +10 as opposed to a minus. Like, it was the one exotic? What?
Yeah, you stat watching, continue. Stat watching by Warlocks, but continue. I saw what you did
I
there.
know
Continue.
the Warlocks. That's why everybody thought Ophidians were going to get hit too, but they weren't. And that's one thing I was curious. Do you feel like Stompies got very targeted for a reason? And do you think what was done to them was fair or unfair? I'm curious. Being a hunter.
I think okay, so I gotta preface this all with I don't use Stompies very much. I'm a Dragon Shadow main.
Okay.
And with that in mind, I think that Stompies were targeted just because they've been the go-to exotic literally since they came out. I mean, with a small exception for like Wormhusk or I don't know, some other random metas like Renewal Grasp. I guess more recently
they can go cry me away with
there's been a
Wormhusk
few
again.
ones.
Yeah, that still works.
But yeah, I think it makes sense that they were targeted, and I think it's relatively fair the changes that were given. I think I'm reserving more judgment until we get to test it out. But I think there was a bit of an overreaction from Stompy mains. So, because the thing is that even with that in-air accuracy penalty, even if you have a 0 in-air accuracy stat, or your effectiveness, I guess is the term we should be using, but your accuracy will still be better than it is right now with Icarus. So.
Right.
It's just that it's the aim assist. So if you see someone complaining like, oh, they butchered my Stompies, it's like
they showed your true
really
skill. I think is it.
Yeah, it's a skill thing. It's an aim thing.
What?
If you have pinpoint accuracy,
that's gonna be the best
doesn't
part.
affect you.
No, that was the best part.
It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, it's like I didn't put it all together, and then I gathered enough information from like more of like looking at the community, and it was the idea that all of a sudden, if you're accurate in the air, you're gonna almost be there. They took away the accuracy penalty in the air. They just took away the aim assist. So if you are a good shot in the air, theoretically you almost could be better. if you need the aim assist help in the air, you're about to get called out really, really badly. And I think that's actually, people are just going to be like, oh, it's terrible. It's like, no, you apparently have to work on yourself. And I thought, I'm just waiting for the realization to start next season. It's going to be really fun.
The funniest thing is that accuracy actually went up. So if you are pinpoint accurate in the air, you will literally have gotten a buff as opposed to what it is right now. So
with skill.
Yeah,
with skill,
with the skill level,
not aim assist and bullet magnetism and curving and all that. Yeah, it's like you're not gonna get the help in the air. So if you want to do that type of stuff, a little 4 on the floor type thing. But no, that's one of those for. I mean, Warlocks, you guys over there, you need one exotic, and you're just gonna be Wings of Sacred Dawn. You're just gonna be hellscape, like hanging out in the air. If you guys go solar floating and all that stuff, just
I love it.
Terrified. If I don't need Shadow's sniping abilities on a floating Warlock when he's better, more accurate, and now is almost more aim assist in the air, that's terrifying.
I love it. I mean, I just like there's a part of me that loves the specking into aspect and having to now give value to an exotic like that. Because first of all, as a Warlock, man, that is a beautiful exotic.
It's the number. I'll give you. It's up there for look. Not the best.
Yeah,
best is a recent release, but.
Yeah, Phoenix Protocol right now.
The ornament?
The ornament.
The ornament, yeah.
The Birdman with the feathers. Oh, I got like my chinchilla. All right. Oh, I love that one. But anyway, but that Sacred Dawn was when D2 launched. I was like, man, that's majestic looking. But yeah, it's going to be cool to kind of. But I'm glad. Shout out to you, Shadow, for kind of answering as far as the play style and how they attacked the whole airborne stuff and leaning into it. So I see where you're coming from.
The other one I wanted to ask you about is flinch, especially as a sniper, because this is one. Do you see yourself building into this more? Because resilience per se for a hunter is probably the last stat that you normally care about, up to a certain level of being shot. So is this going to cause you to like actually change anything? Like maybe look for some alternate builds or like armor spec loadouts type thing, or is it anything that you're not as concerned about?
So I think I am gonna like care about flinch in terms of the perks, but in terms of resilience, not that much. Because I mean the difference between like tier 2, which is like 10, what I have right now, and tier 10 is 8%.
Yeah, I saw your video.
Isn't that much. So I mean I think I'm gonna care a little bit more than I do now about resilience, but I still don't think it's gonna become like a go-to stat for hunters.
Gotcha.
Titans, I mean, sure, 100%, right? I mean, you get the barricades back, and those can be really powerful. And then the flinch on top of that, sure, why not? I mean, Titans can totally go for it for PvP, but for my playstyle and probably for many hunters, resilience is not gonna be a tier 10 type of investment that people want to make.
Are you gonna go like unflinching double mods? You probably already have half of this stuff in here, right? Is there a lot that you think you're going to need to change, I guess, to be more, less flinchable type thing? Is there anything you need to build into that more that you haven't done yet?
I guess stability. Since that's going to be changing the flinch with certain weapons, it's going to have to be something I experiment with. But stability is going to become more important than ever. And right now, I think it is actually a fairly underrated stat on weapons, because people are like, oh yeah, I play mouse and keyboard, I don't care about stability, but it matters a lot, and especially with the flinch changes, it's going to matter even more.
Yes.
So I think my prioritization of stability might increase a bit, and then I already use unflinching mods, but that'll just become another part of my build.
Speaking of which, I wanted to ask you about I love talking to PvP bags.
Okay. I gotta get you guys in here every so often, and then these two just love to go nuts.
Love it, man. Like, I wanted to ask you about weapon archetypes coming into next season, and like, what are the weapons or loadouts that you're kind of most excited to test out that maybe you've stashed in the vault, or just some exotics or anything that you're looking forward to going into the Crucible based on what you know is about to happen to a lot of different archetypes?
I'm really interested in snipers. I mean, I man snipers, but this is the largest sniper change we've probably ever seen in Destiny 2. So I'm really interested to see how that pans out in regards to the flinch, in regards to the handling, in regards to the aim down sights and snapshot changes. So I'm really interested to try those out. I made a sniper tier list about a year ago, and I'm probably going to remake that one pretty soon.
Yeah.
With all of the new snipers that have come out since then, and also with all the new changes. So I'm really excited to try that out. I think I don't know. I think generally speaking, it wouldn't change that much. Like a lot of the good snipers that are good right now will
Mhm.
still be good.
Mhm.
But I'm still really interested to try out some of the ones that I haven't tried in a while and work
Okay.
with all the new systems that are coming out with regards to that.
Nice.
SMGs, I'm also really excited about. I think
Ooh,
those with the changes to the zoom and the
which ones?
range, those
Which
are going to
ones
be
though?
really good. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think I try to like do a lot of testing when the new stuff comes out and find what I like. But
900, 750, 600. Where you at with it? Which one you gonna go do first?
um, I don't know. I like 900s.
Mm.
I feel like they really do what SMGs are meant to do, which is like they melt really good in close range, and especially if you get kill clip going, they're just fantastic. I feel like stuff like Shayra's is kind of more like an auto rifle in a way that like it has more range, but it I don't know. I like the 900s for their ability in really close range.
That's what's for Funnel Funnel was a 9 or a 6. I'm bugging. Forgetting now.
I'd have to look. I feel like it's in green. Like,
Yeah, quickly. I just
so
wanted.
do
I was
you
curious.
like? Speaking of 900s, do you like the new? It's a 900. Yeah.
A 9. I felt. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Funnel 9.
Do you like the raid machine gun or SMG submission? Do you like it or not?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good right now, and I think it's only going to become better with the new changes. So I'm interested to try it out again. Um, I don't have one on my account, so I haven't given it too much playtime. I've tried it on others' accounts, but yeah, I don't have a super firm opinion on it. I think right now it's not that great just because of the way that the zoom works, but I think it's going to become much more viable next season.
Nice. Welcome back.
Thanks.
no
Happy to
doubt.
be here. Don't know what I missed.
No,
but I
we're
assume
we're
it was-
literally just picking his brain on PvP because all the Sandbox stuff in the last couple months. Asking about
I always
airborne
miss all the good
accuracy. Yeah,
Wait.
it's like, is there any PvP Sandbox questions? Because we got Crucible Brain in here and Crucible Fane yourself. I figure you got some questions of curiosities of what's coming.
We
Um,
roasted Stompy Hunters.
We did that.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
went in.
Thank
Oh, yeah,
God.
we did.
Whew. Then great.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm sad I missed that. I think that's my main piece of feedback. What do you hope that they accomplish with Solar, assuming that the rumors are true about Solar being next season?
I hope that they keep like the main things that make it attractive right now, and then also just bump up the customization. I think with all of the 3.0 changes, the biggest part for me is the customization with the fragments and the aspects. Kind of reminiscent of Destiny 1 system where you had those huge things that you could all select, I felt like we've been really like boxed into corners recently
Ugh.
in Destiny 2 with the trees. Like you had to select one and then you don't get to
Damn
customize
diamonds.
anything. It's like
Mm.
nobody's gonna like customize their jump. Like I mean, I feel like everyone
Mhm.
in PvP uses strafe jump anyway. So like I love the customization options that are coming, and then I like the I like when they do changes that are impactful but not like broken. I think Void 3.0 was a little bit overdone. So
Mhm.
I hope the changes for Solar and Arc or whatever comes next is they're interesting and they add customization, but they don't make it OP. And specifically for Solar, I hope that burns aren't ridiculously OP because
Yeah, ready for
I
the
don't
tick
know.
damage? You don't want the tick,
What
tick, tick.
what I've noticed a pattern in PvP is that people despise any time where they can see that they're gonna die and they can't do anything about it.
Anything about it? Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Really?
No.
As a
Stasis, people
Titan who's
hated it
yeah.
because they got frozen and they're like, well, shit, there's nothing I could do. And so I feel like there could be a similar effect with a burn. If it's like you get hit by a burn and you're going to live for like 3 seconds, but then you're going to die. I feel like people would totally hate that. So I hope there's not a thing where it's like you die to a burn every life. That would be awful. So
Well, yeah, I think there's more counters to damage over time now. Like I was using Le Monarch last night in Iron Banner, and I was seeing
Because you're one of those guys.
Yeah, well, actually, it's because I got the catalyst and I had
Ah.
to complete the catalyst. So it's like, all right, well, might as well do it while I'm grinding Iron Banner. But yeah, I saw like Warlock using the Rift to survive it. Even saw some Titans throwing down their barricade to get the overshield to help burn it off. And Hunters have probably the fewest options, but they've got that helmet that recharges them when they dodge and stuff. So they've there's a few options, but I wonder if maybe part of the Solar kind of framework has been that heal is a thing. So maybe Solar has its own counter to kind of damage over time, I think that'd be interesting. But also to your point about Void being overpowered, I 100% agree. It basically broke Crucible for like a month. But also, I wonder if the reason it felt overpowered is because the other light subclasses were not a 3.0 version. And so maybe with Solar and Void, it'll be less of a thing. Nobody's going to be using Arc.
Arc's
though.
going to be
poor Arc.
Arc's going to be crying in a closet for like 3 months, man.
Yeah.
See, that's the one that has me very curious because
Me too.
for me personally, as a Titan, especially what you can do with barricades now, as it's my class ability, so far it's just been a wall. Well, now the wall can give me an overshield, and I'm going, are they going to do anything else cool with barricades for Solar and Arc? And I honestly wonder if they will do anything, or if it's just going to be the boring barricade and maybe it's other stuff. The customization's cool and all, but it's like making the class ability a little bit better. Then we've got volatile, we've got those types of things. You know, our grenades, like, is there going to be an aspect where your grenade adds burn damage? So now if you get hit by any Solar grenade, here comes that tick, tick, tick on everything. But then on the other side, like, you know, if you get, you know, as you guys have said, if you get certain kills, maybe there's a healing aspect as well to counter it. As I'm very curious because Void, while most of everything stayed, I think there were a couple things that were lost in transition. I would say generally, like everything generally about Void, most overall is better that we have flexibility of, and I think everything felt a lot stronger. And I'm hoping we get that type of feeling out of Solar as well. For one, to counter Void. So we actually have an alternate light subclass that kind of gets there. But also just to really make those subclasses kind of stand on their own. The one that I'm most curious about as a hunter is if they can make the big sledgehammer for fire matter at all again. Because it's just the one
Titans.
Titans, I don't know what I said. Sorry.
Yeah.
You said it.
Hunter. Yeah, the big sledgehammer for Titans. If they can make that thing
Burning
good.
Maul.
Yeah, Burning Maul. If they can make that good, I will be very surprised. If nothing else, I'm going to have a little throwing hammer to go with my big throwing hammers when I customize. So that I'm looking forward to. But
my theory
Yeah,
is the Titan barricade will deploy like a forward wave of fire, you know, like the grenade.
I'd be
that they
down
have,
for that.
where it
I'd
sends
be
like a
down
wave,
for that.
shoots
I bet you
forward.
would.
Probably something like that, yeah. So
I feel like the class abilities will do something. I feel like that's been a pattern. Like with
Yeah.
Void, we like got a new Hunter dodge. We got the Titan barricade, and then we've also like with Stasis, like the Warlock Rift Freeze thing.
Freeze,
Like
yeah.
I feel like that's just like a pattern. Like it's bound to happen in some way that it affects the class ability.
what would you like to see for the Warlock and the Hunter? What would you like to see Solar do to your class item? And Arc, if you have ideas there too.
I don't know. I don't really have anything specific in mind. I feel like that's you kind of have to
Would
design
like an
come up with-
intrinsic bombardier, like leave a little sunspot on the ground for you when you
Gosh, that sounds
dodge?
busted.
That sounds so busted. I know. Please don't do that. But like that just, I mean, I will definitely say Warlocks, by the way. The fact that you've got an exotic that turns any weapon into an overload killing weapon still irks me that you're the only one that has like a champion weapon. And I'm just like,
It's great. I love it. It's awesome.
yeah, that's
man.
not fair. That's just not
I
fair.
mean, you have machine gun reloading. You guys had stuff that synergized with, weapons. I love that. It's
Now
great.
you got like the champion killer, and I'm like, we all
Yes,
need all need some of those, but we'll get to that.
Honestly, if it was anti-barrier, it'd be perfect.
I was like, anti-barrier is covered by Arbalist, honestly, right now. That thing's too strong. So.
True. But they about to give him a nerf. But yeah, I was just like, oh man, if it was anti-barrier and I throw a rift down, oh, I'll be up for every Nightfall Grandmaster. Let's go. No, but it is not all jokes aside. It is powerful. That is extremely. I forgot, is it something filament? I forgot. Secant filament. Yeah.
Secant filaments, yeah.
Love it. I was gonna ask real quick. I know, like, what do you? I know you can't think of. You were saying, Shadow, like what they could do, but like, what do you feel if Solar's next from a hunter standpoint? What do you feel is kind of a weakness that needs to be improved?
Blade Barrage super sucks really bad.
That's what my man said. Is that he happy now? Okay, continue.
There you go.
that needs to get fixed. But I think like with Solar 3.0, just generally, I think it should like embrace the powers of each subclass and like the vibe that each one has. Like Gunslinger empowers your guns. Like if they make the neutral game of the Gunslinger like really really allow you to build into making your weapons better, I feel like people would love that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think just kind of embracing the power fantasy of each one while adding more customization, just generally speaking, that would be a W. And I think the trend we've fallen into with Stasis and Void is so far is like it comes out really hot and
Yeah, of
people
course.
like the abilities kind of dominate for a bit. So I'm really hoping with Solar and Arc that it's more in line with what we had with like the 30th anniversary, where weapons are the focus and abilities do not dominate the entire Crucible. So
I
we'll have
appreciate
to
your
see.
optimism, but I wouldn't like put money on red if you were doing anything like that, because the way it's been, we got to hype up the new subclass and then we got to reel it back in. At
Yeah,
least,
I mean, I think it's fine to ship them a tiny bit hot. I think it's
yeah.
fine to ship them good. I mean, you need to ship them good. Otherwise, it's just boring and nobody uses it. You don't want to ship something that sucks. But I think they could, be less OP than Stasis and Void were initially, and that would be the sweet spot.
I was gonna say, outside of my dodging sunspot terrifying thought process, is there anything you
Okay.
guys think? Yeah, I was like, please, if they do that, it's already over. Is there anything you guys think they could try and buff and almost make too strong? Is there anything in Solar that you're like, you're good right here, please don't? Do you think there's anything that's kind of on the brink of, if they give it a buff or it gets like a couple aspects or something, that it could go too far that you could almost see now?
I'm worried about heal
Um,
a
No?
little bit,
Just for
yeah,
mostly
PvP?
because for
they go
PvP, because
heal
I
too hard.
wonder
Yeah.
if it makes the recovery stat completely obsolete if you can just I gave my Titan wall pitch, which I know there's an exotic for it already, but if like deploying your Titan barricade instantly started healing you, then most of the time you get into an encounter, do you really need
That's just the
recovery?
Warlock
And
Rift, so.
yeah, it's a Warlock Rift already. I don't know what they would do for Warlocks, but I'm a little worried about how heal plays into things. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but that's one thing I'm worried. It's kind of the same worry I had about overshields. So
Yeah.
I think you
which
have a
did
good
end up
point.
being
I
a
mean,
problem.
anything that incentivizes in PvP, anything that incentivizes a player to just sit there and do nothing sucks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's like, yeah, oh, I'm sitting here and I'm healing and you can't kill me, like I feel like barricades and rifts they're cool and all, but they also really slow down the pace of the game, which kind of sucks. So I think that if any of those become OP, that would be very bad.
Yeah.
What if they make an exotic for the new season that's kind of like perpetual motion, but for healing? So the farther and longer you run, then you get healing. Shotgunners would be
Okay.
like,
We are firing you from the Sandbox team immediately.
I'm trying to think of all the worst things that we know won't happen. That way, when this stuff doesn't happen, we're happy. That's all. See, I'm making us like happy when these things don't
They
happen.
tend to listen to you. How to be
They're not going to
careful.
listen to me on this stuff. Are you crazy? I would break the. Kevin Giannis is
Mhm.
over there just like, really, dude, what are you doing to me? Like, he would just be really sad. No, that would I don't know. I'm Solar 3.0. Solar is my subclass for Titan generally. But anytime right now I go off of Void, it feels kind of painful because I know I'm missing so much potential. So I'm hoping Solar feels as potent, at least, as Void 3.0 does right now, because I just want to have a little more flexibility. Arc just gets to sit in the corner. They're the sad kid in the corner with the dunce cap on for 3 more months, and that's fine. But at least Solar should be fun. My hope.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, Guardian Games Week 2. We are into that, actually. Didn't know how much has everybody on the podcast been playing Guardian Games? I am curious. How much did you guys get into competitive scoring? Anything? None?
Yeah, basically none.
Travis
Not
is
super
shaking
into
me,
the
give me
holiday
nothing.
events.
No?
Nah, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then on
I
top of that,
tried it very briefly and then quickly was like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
yeah, and then on top of that, the title was broken initially with the drop rate, so that kind of de-incentivized me a little bit. Now I know it fixed. I got to get back in there, but it just didn't have a mojo for me this one, And I already had heir apparent, so it was just kind of like,
yeah.
what was my motivations really? So not so much. What about you, Shadow?
I've never really been into any of the seasonal events. I feel like I've just never been that motivated to actually do them, especially when they get repetitive. I feel like Guardian Games they
Travis
probably did a
Soul.
pretty
Not
decent.
even team doubles. Come on, our one
Okay,
PvP
I have
seasonal
played those.
activity.
I have played
Yeah.
those. But yeah, I mean, especially when things get repetitive, I think they did a pretty good job with making Guardian Games not that repetitive this year. But I still haven't really got into it. So
E.
I've been playing a decent amount. I've been trying to farm for the title, basically, because I know there's a couple of roles. I did get a stats for all, 1 for all with some pretty good range. I think I got like a 4 out of 5 for that one.
For your video, excellent. I'll be looking out for that role.
And then for PvP, there's a couple. I got one that's close, still not quite there for my PvP roles. It feels better than I think it should, just by looking at like numbers and stats and things. So I think depending on what they do to SMGs, that it's actually got some potential, and just something about that one for me actually feels pretty good. But no, the strike scoring's actually been nice to have. Going for the medals. Now, I will say with regards to strike scoring that I don't. So for one, the shoot the wall, kill yourself for 20 minutes and go get the 700,000 points. They have done something about that, which is good. So if you're going for legitimate score runs, they have made an adjustment there, which is a good thing, because I honestly wasn't sure what they were going to do. Typically, I figured, okay, people broke the system. We got the top 10% that was figured out. I honestly thought they were just going to give everybody the emblem, give everybody or something, and actually just like they know what like the highest probable ranges are going to be, and then they have actually kind of adjusted the outliers out of that range. So it's been so if you did have top 10% and you weren't, LFGing for 1 million points or whatever and shooting a wall for 20 minutes and then finally going in, it actually is. They did adjust that one. I just wanted to give them props for adjusting it in the right way, because I think in the past they would have gone, hey, here's your free emblems. Things got screwed up. It's too much work to go back in and adjust the systems or whatever. And the fact that they actually just were able to change the score threshold, make it retroactive for last week, I think they actually handled it pretty well, and I kind of wanted to shout them out for that, because a lot of ways it could have been easier and just like, never mind, no big deal, here's your emblem, everybody. They actually kind of left it in there. So if you did make the effort last week, theoretically, you still should probably be there. And then I've been working on the strike scoring this week, and it's interesting to see it, but the only thing I have to say is, like, when you're going to say strike scoring, I understand, like, power sprees, cool. Super kills, those are fun. Energy, like, certain things to stay alive and 30 kills without dying. Those are cool sprees to get. Finishers, and then on champions, I get those. Taunting them before you finish them. Basically, it's one of the most important medals that you do, because every major, anything with an orange bar or a champion, you need to emote before you finish, because you get a bonus of points. And I don't love that that's in there, because that's just frustrating in playstyle. It's like, let me dance on you, and then let me actually finish you. And I don't, because that doesn't, it's this weird thing that I've noticed this season between the raid challenges being play slower and keep things alive that you should want to kill. And then this is the same thing. Here's the situation where normal combat, you would be like, hey, let me run through, let me finish him, I can hit him real quick. No, I got to get to a point where I can stop, do a little dance, and then I'm actually going to go dance on him and then finish. I think that needs pulled out of strike scoring. I would like to see strike scoring put in the Vanguard playlist. Maybe it helps in reputation. Maybe there's something they can do with strike scoring, because strike scoring is actually cool and fun just to see the numbers go up and actually have some way to track it. But also on the other side, I don't love the fact that they want you to taunt the enemy, which basically makes it easier for those moments where you're like, well, I want all the points, but then I'm possibly getting it. I just don't like that emotes are a way to get extra points. That's the only thing. Everything else I'm actually enjoying about it. Just take the emotes out of there. And I'm glad they fixed it the way it was. So
you don't want to do that against Hive Guardians?
I've done it. It's just it's a very sketchy prospect. With those shields, will like kind of take you apart like a movie I recently just saw. But that, if you haven't seen it, I won't say anything. But yeah, it's just. I mean, I like the idea of strike scoring, making, say, like the Vanguard Ops playlist more fun, giving you a reason. And if they can do some type of leaderboard in the game, that would actually be kind of cool. Gives a reason to actually run that playlist ever. But on the other side, yeah, it's just like there are a couple tweaks that I think I would make to it. But apparently I'm the only one who's played it. So I'm kind of talking to chat here and anybody else. So if anybody has any thoughts about this, throw those in the comments for us, because my hosts are less helpful this week on the strike scoring.
Thrown under the bus. Thrown under the bus for unfun activity.
True. You know what? I feel like I'm not going to go there. I've already
Okay.
done this
Leave it alone.
monologue.
Yeah, he's just gonna leave it alone. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna leave it alone. It was spicy.
It was really bad. Yeah, we'll just.
It was really
we'll
bad.
leave it
Yeah,
on
I was
that
going
one.
to talk about strikes, and you guys know my take. So
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, it's and again, that's why I was like, strikes. We know you're like, hey, go do strikes for 20 different activities. You know, we always have a reason to go do the playlist or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, why? It's like I haven't had to do. We get like one new strike a year. What did we get 2 this time around or something like that? So it's like, but yeah, strike scoring is at least a way to give you a little more in there, and then that's got potential they could do a little bit more with it is all. It's just the system that's there. We haven't had strike scoring since Destiny 1. So I was like, it could be, it's just something they could do something with if they put a little more into it. If the foundation and a couple tweaks could get some more. That's really all.
You know what? I can't keep it in. I'm just going to say it. So
I should have just gone on to the next topic.
I have such a problem with people pointing to like, oh well, they did scoring. It's that makes it fun, right? Because they added a score. Because if you told me, hey Travis, go do your laundry, and I was like, oh man, I really don't want to do laundry. But then if you were like, hey, but we'll score your laundry performance against all of your other friends, we'll tell you how well you did your laundry in comparison, I'd be like, okay, fine, but like it's still boring. I like still don't want to do laundry. This is like Bungie is like Huck Finn right now, trying to convince us that painting the fence is fun. Like that's what it reminds me of. Like super hardcore. It's like, but we don't like the activity. Like you didn't give us any new strikes. Like it's like, but do the same activity over and over again. This time we've got scoring. It's a gimmick. It's fun now. It's a game, and I'm just like,
But now
I don't.
Shadow,
want to do
is
it.
there anything that would actually compel you to get involved in strike scoring? Leaderboards, anything? Or are you just like, nope? Are you noping out of there, or what are you doing?
Probably noping out of there.
It's a fair answer. It's a PvP mindset. That's totally what I expected. I just had to ask. So, all right, we'll just move.
From my point of view, with Guardian games, I feel like it's a perfect opportunity to make a PvP mode about Guardian games, because it's literally about the classes.
I mean, I would
fighting
love
with
that.
each other. How is it not a PvP?
Shadow,
thing?
I said
really
this
do not
2
get it.
weeks
Yeah,
ago.
we've said-
I
yeah.
said this 2 weeks ago.
We
like
can
a
go.
there you
competitive
go.
mode against the classes.
Yeah,
to
you-
like
Yeah, 3v3.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah,
It-
3v3v3.
It's
Yeah.
a totally missed opportunity, in my opinion.
100%, dude. 100%.
When I first heard of Guardian games, I was like, oh, sweet. So it's got to be like a PvP thing, you know, Titans and Hunters and Warlocks playing each other. And then
Yeah.
it's just like, nope, it's just like another event in the
Yeah.
tower.
It's
I
like
was
a
"Oh, shit."
passive aggressive Cold War where we're like we're killing the fallen, but we're doing it like looking really angry at the other classes while we do it. We're like, this is you. This is your face.
In the face. In the face.
My banner's higher than yours.
Yeah,
Yummy.
it's like we're roommates and we're trying to get back at each other by like, you know, not cleaning the dishes. Like that's the level of
Oh my
pettiness
God.
that
Dude,
Guardian
it's
Games
almost
is.
like Gambit. It's like which team can kill the enemies faster. It's like, no, kill the enemies, not the kill
Yeah.
the players.
Yeah,
No, I
at
mean, I
least
would
that
love
has
to see-
some PvP.
I would love to see, as G-Man said, 4v4v4, because every map has 3 points, an A, B, a C, and guess what? 3 different teams spawn in, go, like, and then you know, however
That'd be
many
sick.
wins, or at
That would be
least,
sick.
or maybe if they had strike scoring and that, you'd have something for both sides.
Right. Yeah. I'm not
That,
saying
I
it has to
think.
be exclusively PvP. I just think it has to have some PvP component to get me really interested into it.
Yeah. I mean, and that would be a nice balance, because some people are like, hey, I'm not a huge fan of PvP, and some people are like, I love PvP. If you could just do that for both, like the maps literally have 3 sides to them. Almost all of them do, except probably like a couple have very specific lanes, but that, like some of them are so built for that. Because I'm thinking, what is it, Midtown? That's one I think would work really well for that. But there's certain maps that that are divided up in the little perfect triangle, and just 3 different sets of people join in, and you got arcs, or you got warlocks, titans, and hunters spawning on 3 different sides and run. I think that would be really cool. Hopefully they can do that. But yeah, we talked about that before too, so I agree. But yeah, glad to know nobody cares about strikes. Perfect. All right. I mean, I had to cover the topic because it was there, since it's what we're in the middle of. But yeah, everybody's more excited. Next week, Guardian Games isn't going to even be on the topic list. Next week, we're going to be talking about so much Season 17 stuff we won't even know what to do with. But we actually got some Season 17 stuff this week. And we've got the Iron Banner updates. for those of you who haven't looked over the TWAB, general idea is Iron Banner is one of the core playlists. They're trying to lower the barrier of entry. So the first thing is Iron Banner, light level, going away. What do we think about light level requirements going away?
I think it's very interesting because they keep going back and forth. Like in Destiny 1, it was a thing, and then beginning of Destiny 2, they're like, yeah, you know, we don't really want the power level to be a factor anymore. And then, you know, more recently, they're like, you know what, actually, let's put it back in. And now they're like, wait, no, we're gonna take it back out. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really think it has that big of an impact. I think having the power level in there does kind of make it feel more like an end game activity, which I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad. But I don't think it's really going to be the end of the world either way. As someone who's lazy and doesn't do his pinnacles, I guess it kind of benefits me to not be max power level and, you know, not be at a disadvantage because I'm not max power level. So that's fine. I mean, I don't know. I think it's I guess it's good for getting more casual players involved, but I don't think it's like a huge factor.
Shadow, I think you're my favorite guest because it's like
Yeah.
you just are. It's like you watched all the
He's
previous
so
shows and are
apathetic
just
to PvE.
parroting everything I've said in the past like couple weeks. I literally said that exact same thing about how they just won't. They will not stick to their decisions. They just change their minds so quickly, and I'm very confused by it. But yeah. I feel the same way. Ditto to what Shadow said. Like that, the first thing I said when I read this in the TWAB was like, classic Bungie going back on your previous decision. It's like they have two development teams and they hate each other. And each season, one of the teams gets to be in control of Destiny, and they just undo all the work from the previous administration.
Control Z, and then the other way, just undo, redo, undo, redo.
Administration.
They're super upset about what the other team is doing.
They elect a new team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely political.
I'm going to undo everything that the last Sandbox team did.
It's kind of true. Yes, it's interesting. I will say one thing I like is that what was that? There's that specific bounty that you always had to kill higher. Yeah, like
get rid of that.
That would annoy me. Yeah, that would annoy me. I mean, you know, here we are again. I guess to Shadow's point, they view this as kind of opening the floodgates to casualize the mode as far as not letting the you know the advantage, the level advantage be a disadvantage to newer players. I guess I don't know how much of a factor, you know, it's going to make, and I'm curious to see how accessible this makes it. Like, with their analytics, does this, you know, truly make players really, you know, come into the game? But I think it's going to be more of a combination of what's going on. But yeah, I was surprised. I'll be honest with you. When I saw, I was like, oh, okay, you're doing this. Interesting. But what about you, E?
I mean, for me, I think it's just a general. It's probably where they should leave it, because PvP should be about the player's skill, about your weapons, your loadouts, your build of your character, not the arbitrary power level number that we have. Now, granted, the power level number going up for PvE stuff, I get that's a thing, but for PvP, as it is meant to be about the player versus the player, combat, not so much you're leveling up. It's like, you know, it's the imaginary sandbox. It's not the imaginary sandbox, but I'm 15-16, you're 15-50. That shouldn't matter. Like, it should be about the player skill, the abilities, can you hit your shots, not if I shoulder charge. It used to, like, the things that annoyed me the most, as a Titan, of course, but if I could shoulder charge somebody, but when I was slightly under leveled, they'd have that smidge of health, and I'm like, when it's a one-shot ability, that should always be that way. So the fact that it wasn't was one of those, and same thing, it might take one more shot, or you would do a little less damage. That type of stuff. If momentum control is going to be a different, like, momentum control is cool. Different sandbox, weapons kill really fast. It's kind of a different, you know, time to kill, very different. But if Iron Banner is just going to be like control, it shouldn't be control, but there's this like slight variation in people. Like, just even it out, and I think that one they should leave. Again, they have it in Trials just because they want that to be the end game. Do you guys think light level should matter in Trials, or do you think that one should still be? Do you think that one should be normalized as well?
I think it shouldn't. Philosophically, it doesn't really make sense to have the scaling and also I'm kind of like Shadow in that I don't do my pinnacles. I just play Crucible usually, and so it definitely benefits me in making an argument for myself. But I also think that if you want to do something, there's very few other places in Destiny where your power level matters, even in PvE. So if you want it to be an endgame activity that's restrictive, then just make the power level requirement high. You know what I mean? Like they do with Grandmaster Nightfall. If you were like, oh, you got to be this level of power level to enter the activity, then that would gate it. I think the reason they don't do that is because Trials already, let's face it, has a playlist population problem, and they probably aren't trying to add some additional barriers. But I also don't know why they do it to Grandmaster Nightfall. Like, what's the reasoning behind?
I mean,
if it's capped anyway, why do you have like a super high power level requirement to get into it? So yeah, I don't think they should add it. I say that as a guy who kind of likes it. I kind of like it when like I was playing Iron Banner and I'm not max power and I was fighting guys that were like 20, 30 power above me, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of getting my ass handed to me. This is kind of nice. You know, some of these encounters I feel like I'm not doing that much damage, but you know, if you're trying to design a competitive multiplayer game, it doesn't really make that much sense to have, you know, the power level really come into play. So,
Shadow, what about you? Light level on or off Trials?
I guess I'm gonna make kind of an argument against myself because, like I said, I don't do my pinnacles and I'm lazy. But I actually think it's fine to have the power level enabled in Trials as an end game activity. It gives you a reason to do your pinnacles and your powerfuls and actually level up your character and get ready for Trials. I feel like it kind of, but especially because Trials isn't a thing at the very beginning of the season or expansion, I guess it's like a reason to like grind and get ready, and there's like an anticipation factor, I think, to it. But also, like, it doesn't make that big of a difference. Like, if I'm a little bit under leveled, I can still win in Trials. Like, my skill is still the thing that matters. It's just like a slight factor that makes it slightly more difficult if you haven't reached max level. So I think it's fine the way it is, because it's not a massive factor if you're slightly under leveled. But if you want to really min max and get to the maximum power level and have all your mods and the perfect rolls on all your weapons, then you can do that and it will make you better. But if someone is super skilled and they're 10 power levels under, they're still going to win.
Fair. That's a good take on it. And that's kind of one of those things that is for general engagement. Like if you're a PvP player, it's still going to cause that player to engage in much more of the game each season to be able to get up to level. So it's a you know, it's a seasonal engagement thing, as opposed to you could be 1350 for the next year and still go complete and kick ass in Trials. Like they need.
I think that's a large reason why it's there in the first place, because like if you're a PvP player, like you do like the basic campaign to unlock the exotic or something like that, and then you're done. Like like what's the reason to do the powerfuls of the pinnacle? So I guess it gives people a reason to play more of the game,
Right.
which
That's what
Bungie likes. You know, it's just a win for everyone basically, other than the people who don't like grinding. But yeah, I mean, it gives you a reason to actually go do those things, even if you're more a PvP player. So I think that's fine. I mean,
all right, now
Yeah.
I gotta get. No, what were you gonna ask?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the mindset they have behind it, is because they want the grind, they want the PvP player to aspire to continue to play and to make sure the light level, you know, to reward the person who wants to commit to the light level, right? But at the same time, I do feel it, even though I like it personally, I do feel it goes against their own philosophy of trying to make the mode more inclusive. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, there's only going to be a certain amount of people that get to that pinnacle, you know, and at the same time they'll have that advantage. But they have competing philosophies issues right now, and I think that's what's going on, and that's why they keep going back and forth, whether it be a regime change like Travis mentioned, or, you know, whatever it is. There's definitely philosophy debates in that building, and you know, it shows the inconsistency when we see sandbox updates like this. But personally, I like it, but I understand what you guys point.
Yeah, it's weird because if the light level did matter, but the highest you could go was, say, like the powerful cap for an entire year, and then the expansions were more content, not the little 10 level bump, then theoretically, yeah, you'd have to hit that 1550. But then it's always, then you get to that little seasonal bump every time, and it's always that little nuance of difference where if somebody, you know, it's that 10 levels, and the people who grind the pinnacles in early Trials when the population is bigger are going to have a smidge of an advantage. Not much, as you guys have said, but a smidge would be there. And again, it's always that weird thing. Is even the 10 level bump worth it with the pinnacles? At that, as you said, you actually said it well, because yeah, there's some people who probably don't want the level changes that much. Some people have probably questions if the level number should be in the game at all. Then there's people, because we've actually talked about, like, is power level even a worthwhile number in the first place? They've done the 50 levels, they've done the 10 levels, then you have the powerful, and then the pinnacle every season. It's all the weird little nuances of level right now that make some of these things strange, because then when you start a new season, you're like, okay, I was at the highest. Well, now I got to do it again. Well, maybe I'm crazy at work for 2 months, and then let me pick it up. Well, now I'm at a disadvantage. Even if it is 10 levels, I feel like I'm just a little bit under. And as you said, the idea of trials would be, we want as many people playing this as possible. So it is kind of, you know, butting heads on ideas. But I did have a question for Shadow, because I wanted to get your take. Do you think freelance should be permanent in trials?
It's a really good question. I don't know. It's there's a lot of pros and cons. I think with all of the splittings of population, it kind of is a bad thing. Because you know, when you have the flawless pool, and then you have the different consoles, and then you have PC, and then you have freelance as well, like it really it can split the population. That's never a good thing. But people do love freelance, myself included. And it's really cool to just be able to go into trials and, you know, try to go flawless by yourself. Or I mean, even if you're not going flawless, it's still fun to be able to queue without organizing your friends into a group and, you know, having this whole ordeal. So I don't know. I think overall freelance is a good thing. There's just some challenges that it has when it comes to splitting the population.
Does anybody, did you major in like politics? What'd you do? Because I swear every answer I asked you is like so PC, middle of the road, could be half of this. Like, you are really good at dancing a lot of both sides of this. I was just kind of curious. It cracks me up because I was
Let you
like,
take a stand.
Major.
He's a moderate man after my own heart.
fence sitter.
I don't know. I think with some issues there are extremes, but I think I don't know, a lot of the ones we've mentioned so far, I don't have a
I'm
super
giving
strong
you a hard
opinion one way or
time.
the
No,
other.
it's cracking me up because there's a couple questions you'd be like, well, this or that. And it's like, I was curious.
He'll give both arguments.
Yeah, he'll give both arguments. I'm like,
I usually do that.
I like
he
being
does
able to
it
see
well.
both sides.
Yeah.
I like being able to see both sides because I
Me
really
too.
don't think that there are very many issues, especially when it comes to balancing games where there's one opinion that's correct and the other one's wrong. So I think appreciating both sides is important.
So, okay, question. You have the ability to make the trials matchmaking system however you want. Solo, freelance, flawless, not flawless pool. What do you build that you think is the best for everyone? What is your preferential in-game for the trials playlist in the world of matchmaking?
I think I've probably steal an idea that I've seen thrown around a few places, which would be connection and card base, which is what it is right now. But then on Sunday you activate the freelance, and there's no such thing as the flawless pool.
Interesting.
So no skill based at all.
No skill based at all. That's currently the way it is.
So you want status quo in a sense? I'm curious. This is interesting.
No, he basically just said like take like a normal trials weekend as is, and then on Sunday add the flawless node in the corner, or add the freelance node in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, so the freelance later, and I just try to understand the mindset behind the freelance later.
So right now the problem is that people think like the flawless pool is like it activates on Sunday, right? And people are like, oh, so then I'll just go and play on Sunday. But instead of having the flawless pool, you can just add freelance, and that makes it a lot more accessible.
Interesting.
So the freelance players only get to play 2 days a week.
I mean, well, I guess, but you could also just make a team or solo queue, right? I mean, you can always solo queue. So freelance is just making it more accessible and easy for a solo player to go flawless. Because also, okay, another thing that I would do is potentially weight the matching solos versus solos and teams versus teams.
Absolutely.
Because right now there's a problem where if you're a 3 stack, you're probably going to match a lot of solos. And then you just run them over because you have coordination. I mean, like you could a worse team will always beat a better team if they have comms and the other team is like randoms. So like communication is huge. So I think that if they could even potentially do away. They could potentially even do away with freelance altogether if they just heavily prioritized matching solo queues with solo queues.
That's what I would love. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me.
It just really screws up the whole experience when you're a solo player and you get matched against a team, and it's like, well, you know, even if we're cracked, we're probably gonna lose just because of communication. So
That's
Yeah.
probably my biggest thing, and that's kind of I guess that's what I was leading to mostly because me as a solo player, because I don't typically have people that want to play trials, or it's just I pop on and I want to play a few trials matches just like kind of out of nowhere, and it's a way to play that. But it's the idea of as soon as I pull up the roster, I'm like, oh, what do we got? And I see a 3-stack. I wish I could just quit the match. I'll get a trials penalty. I'll get but I mean, you'll get a matchmaking penalty or whatever it is. But it's like.
Yeah.
And some people do that, but if I just want to not have that penalty and just queue up again normal without having like a timer, that's what I would say. It's like if there's not going to be skill-based matchmaking in the factoring at all, then I'm 100% with you that weight needs to be insanely heavy for like teams, 2s and 1s and solos. That almost needs to be like equal to connection as much because it's that moment where you face a 3-stack and I've done enough solo queuing this season. I think I've reset my reputation twice. I've played enough to. It's like there's enough times when you're going in as a solo. It sucks to face a 3-stack. It just does. Every blue moon you'll pull it out. Like I'm with like 2 cracked people and we paired up with like the okay team. But 98% of the time, I'm gonna lose that match.
Yeah, when I see the 2 clan name, the clan tags that match, I'm like, oh man.
They're good friends. They've got the synergy going.
It's the only 2 people in the match. The only 2 people in the match are like paired together, and you're like, are they on my team? Are they on my team? And then all of a sudden you're like, nope, son of a. That's So that's why I was. I don't know if I'll bring up the whole skill-based matchmaking debate with you, even though I'm very curious. But the wait for trials? No, just in general, like skill-based matchmaking versus not so much. I know trials is like you got connection and lag. Believe me, if you queue in the morning, you got that name that you can't read. That's different language over there. I'm like, yeah, there's probably a little bit of lag in this match. That's not great. I get the lag point per se, but I was just curious your thoughts on because it's been in like a lot of PvP games. So I don't know if you play other PvP games, if you're just mostly focused on Destiny, just the idea of skill-based matchmaking in general. Where do you fall on, and this could be for Travis, this could be for Cog, because all of you guys play PvP in different places. Where do you fall on the idea of skill-based matchmaking being a factor in literally just PvP in gaming?
Okay, well, earlier you mentioned how I don't have a strong opinion. I do have a strong opinion.
Let's go.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
I
am strongly opposed to skill-based matchmaking in like casual playlists like 6v6. I don't think it has any place in a casual playlist like 6v6. And in trials, I think it's also the same thing because nobody's ever going flawless if you have a 50% chance of winning. It's never gonna happen. It's like a 1 in 100 chance or something like that. So I think it does have a place in like competitive, like 3v3 stuff like that. Because well, actually, it depends what type of competitive. I think it belongs in competitive the way it is. If there's a ladder system, that's different. But overall, especially for 6v6, I do not like skill-based matchmaking at all.
Trav, I'm gonna let you go. I want to hear this.
So actually, my initial reaction was, oh, this streamer elitist who's afraid to fight against people who are his skill level. That was my first thought. But actually, the way he framed it, I kind of agree with. Casual playlists, you don't really need skill-based matchmaking for obvious reasons. Also, at teams of that size, it doesn't really make sense a whole lot. Trials, there's an argument for it, but also it has the card-based system as sort of a in-card skill-based system, so you could get away with it. I still have my doubts that system actually works, but if you're actually matching with people who are on the same win level as you, that could essentially replace the need for a skill-based system. Competitive badly needs it. Badly. Because competitive is by definition not competitive if you don't have a skill-based system. It's just not. It's not competitive if you're not competing against people who are near your skill level.
So yeah, you said something about like ladder. I don't know, I picture StarCraft or something where you have like, bronze 1, 2, and 3, silver 1, 2, and 3. If Destiny, which, we could all have pipe dreams that the glory situation eventually turned into like a ladder system every season. If that happened, do you guys feel, that basically becomes what your skill-based matchmaking? Is that where you end up falling into? Is that where skills an okay time?
More or less, that is skill-based matchmaking. ladder,
I
a
mean,
ladder
if
system.
it's a ladder and it's like, you go in, you go up, blah blah blah. Like if you're super highly ranked, you're not going to be matching some noob. So yeah, I think that's totally fine. And I also think that I said this before, with the current system, I think skill based is fine and competitive.
Yeah,
'Cause it
I
doesn't
also
change.
the argument for skill based in casual is the lobby balancing argument, which people complain about how bad lobbies are balanced, and the reason for that is because there is no skill based matchmaking, and it's near impossible to actually balance a lobby if you have a random selection of people with very very diverse skill sets. And so I think for player experience, skill based matchmaking does actually make sense. I just think that depending on your goal with the game mode, it just depends. I'm a big advocate for skill-based matchmaking because I think that I want to play against people who are close in my skill level. I want matches to be interesting and close. And that is not always the opinion of some people, but you have to keep in mind that for every person that wants to be the guy just raffle stomping, there's also a team that's getting raffle stomped, and that's not particularly good experience. And I also just think that there's a certain level of like cowardice of like, oh, well, I don't want to have to be bothered to get sweaty and to like deal with people at my skill level. And it's like, all right, well then don't play competitive multiplayer. Like go do strikes. Go do strike scoring. I hear that's less competitive.
I would just
So
like to put this out there that I think a lot of people who are against skill-based matching it's not because they want to stomp noobs, myself included. It's
Break it
a little
down.
more complex than that.
Break, give me the
Yeah, it's like,
complexions.
so this is why, because I was about to ask, because you got people that are gonna be like, I suck at PvP, and I go in there and I see Shadow, and all I see is a Shadow name, and I see a dead screen, and that's my screen every time I pop up, and I get picked off. I pop up and I get picked off. How is this a fun experience for me?
So yeah, I guess my argument against that, Shadow, would be they don't say it's to stop noobs. They say that they don't want to be in sweaty matches, which is the same thing. If you don't want to be in a match that's sweaty, it means you want to play against somebody who's a significantly lower skill level than you. AKA, you want to stomp noobs. It's the same
Spicy.
concept, just said in a different way.
Well, not
Spicy.
really, because it's for all skill levels. It's making everybody a sweaty match. You could be a 0.1 KD and it's going to match you against 0.1 KDs, which makes it a sweaty match for you. You could be a 10 KD, it's going to only match you against 10 KDs, which is going to be a sweaty
Yeah.
match for you.
And
So
so they don't want that. They don't want sweaty matches, AKA they want to stomp noobs. I mean, essentially, that's what they're getting at, right? They don't want to be
Well,
matched against other 10 KDs.
if you're a 0.1 KD and there's no skill-based matchmaking, you're going to get stomped. It's it's the other way around, right? So like I know people who are like not very good PvP players and they're still against skill-based matchmaking. So
What's their argument for it? I'm actually curious.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
Like,
That's like people voting against their economic interest. It doesn't mean it's a good idea just because people are for it. It just means that, you know what I'm saying?
All right,
Let's go,
we
Shadow.
got Travis getting all split. No, I was
Let's
but
go,
Hey,
Shadow.
I'm like, hey, attack the argument. Don't say, well, some people are for it. It's like, well, some people are for, beheading people in the streets. It doesn't mean it's a good idea. So give me the actual
yeah,
reason.
I'm not
and
trying
then
to attack
I'll
you,
concede.
Shadow. I truly am curious because this is, and again, this is why it's like having a PvP person on here. I would ask this of a lot of people, and this is one of those. I was lucky enough to like raid for a little while with True Vanguard. So, and I actually kind of heard him phrase one piece for me that I liked. A piece of like having some skill-based matchmaking in there, but mostly relation to like outliers. Take like, as you kind of said, in the casual playlist, if you can eliminate the idea that, as Fallout would say, Johnny Two Thumbs versus, the Cami Cakes, those two should not be in the same lobby. Like, if you can get rid of like outliers of like a 1 versus a 10, if you can get a closer range, they're not all going to be like, you're not all threes, but it's not like there's a 1 and a 10 in the same room. Maybe it's like, 2 to 6. Yeah, some are going to be better, some are going to be worse, and that might help with the balancing. But if you have like a 10 and a couple 1s and 2s, somewhere there's going to be a huge disparity. Do you feel that would be maybe a reasonable middle ground where it's not like casuals and, sweaties all the time, but it's also the idea that that one person who is God tier probably needs to play a little higher echelon, and somebody who's that newbie probably plays the little lower echelon. Is that a balance that you would be okay with, or is that still just dancing too much with SBMM for you?
I'm more open to it, but I still don't think it would necessarily be a good system because think about it, like how many echelons are there going to be? Is it going to be like, you get to a certain combat rating and then it's like, boom, you're in the better tier and now you're getting shit on. All of a sudden the opponents just magically got better. Like I feel like it would suck to like improve as a player and then get rewarded by your opponents becoming better. It's like, well,
yeah, that is a
well,
reward. That's
yeah,
iron sharpens iron, and now you have a chance to play against people who are better and will make you better by playing with them. That is like in essence exactly what you want in a competitive system, and it's what all the best competitive games do. It's what
Okay, well,
Halo
I would not consider
Championship does.
66 to be competitive. I would consider it a very casual playlist. So
mean,
It is
on a
100%,
competitive game,
100%.
Oh, yeah.
thing is
I'm not
what's-
I'm not
yeah.
necessarily advocating for that. I'm just saying in general, if you want matches to feel better, you have to fix the lobby problem. You don't fix the lobby problem without a ladder system or skill-based matchmaking. And I think that there's a lot of painting the argument in certain ways of like, oh, well, skill-based matchmaking, that would be so against you. But ultimately, it would make matches feel better. It would make them feel more balanced. They would be sweatier, especially if you're a top echelon player. That's going to be tough on you. But I mean, this is a tale as old as time. Halo 2 had skill-based matchmaking, and the really good players used to spend hours just committing suicide so that they could lose matches and de-rank themselves so that they could play against worse players. Like that's
yeah,
just
that's awful.
that I know that's before your time, but that was like what they did back in the day because of their opposition to skill-based matchmaking, which is a hilarious conundrum. But ultimately, that's a problem you're going to face if you get better. And I think the important thing, maybe where we can find middle ground, Shadow, is that if there is some kind of ladder-based system, then you don't just get rewarded by playing against better players and having even harder matches, but you also get rewarded for reaching that tier in the ladder. At the end of the season, you get cashed out for the highest tier you achieved. And I think that could potentially make it feel a little bit better when you're improving as a player and going up against increasingly more difficult players, because you feel at least there's progression. And that's a system that's worked in Rocket League and you name it.
We need a competitive playlist, which is the biggest argument for all of
for
this.
sure.
That's the thing
You
that
need
Destiny's
a
missing.
reason. You need a reward for actually reaching those new tiers beyond just getting better. Because I think in this day and age, these millennials, these Gen Zers, they need something to show for getting to that next tier of skill. That just saying that they got
we getting the participation medals in here now. Okay. Anyway, all I was trying to get to is I knew this was going to be spicy anyway. I didn't actually know it was going to be spicy, but I was honestly
I knew this was going to be.
But like I was honestly curious on the take because there are people who are going to be on both sides of this coin. You can put a whole bunch of PvP players in there of all skill levels, and it's going to be a debate every time because you've got, as some people I've heard, another podcast talk about the idea of I want to go into a match just with a non-optimal loadout, just to be able to try different weapons, see how they feel. Hey, this one, okay, this can have some potential here with this build, but if I have to go into even control and it's going to be my 10 out of 10 sweats fest, I can't try anything else. And I've heard that debate before, and I was like, okay, so I can kind of understand. And that's where I was like, the outlier, some range of that might be a way to help a little bit. As you said, there needs to be a little bit of skill in the background. Like a 1 probably shouldn't be with a 10. But if there's like a 2 and an 8, sure. Like a 10 and a 4, okay. Like it can be a pretty wide range, but like a 1 and a 10 for that 1, that's just going to be a bad day for him until he gets to be a little better. But on the other side, if that level 10 player is going to jump in and be like, hey, I'm a really good sniper. Shadow, I'm an awesome sniper. I'm going to go, and you're probably good with everything, so who knows. But it's like, I'm going to go try and run sidearms and shotguns just to see about being aggressive for a little while. If you do that in your usual matchmaking group and you're not used to that playstyle, you're like, well, I have no place to even try and get better at this. And that's one of the arguments that I've heard about, and that's where I kind of see that there needs to be some connection-based, but it's just like kind of that hint of where there's a little bit of balance of both, where the person who gets crapped on doesn't want to get crapped on every match. And if they can't have a chance to play against people around them, they feel like they can't get better. But on the other side, I do understand. It's like maybe you just want to use a different gun. But if you don't use the optimal meta, that's like the quickest time to kill for all of these things, then it's not going to be a fun match for you. So it's like, I've listened to those. I was just curious your take on it. Not trying to like target you, by the way, because I feel like we all went at you. So I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. With like, I feel like being forced to use the meta feels awful. Like, if there's like heavy skill based matchmaking, like every player at every skill level is going to be they're going to feel forced to use the meta at all times if they want to have a chance of doing well. And I feel like that would be extremely awful. Um, like, if I go into Crucible right now, I could, like, like you said, use a sidearm and a shotgun, and I wouldn't do nearly as well as I normally do, but I would at least do okay.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like at least having the option of using something that's not meta is extremely important, because otherwise the Crucible gets extremely monotonous when every single person is using the same weapon every single game. So
No, I hear what you guys say. I just jump in real quick. My only comment would be just, to me, that's the purpose of the standard game mode. That's the purpose of the standard control, the standard rumble, and to me, that's where the connection based stuff can live. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I personally feel skill based matchmaking for an in game activity should be part of it, competitive and trials. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the goal is to make this end game the highest end game content, you don't have to gate it. But I would like to play against, the people of similar skill to truly add value to the mode, to make it like a prestigious thing versus standard. And I feel like standard is where, you can bust out, your loadout or whatever you want to do. And I think that's perfectly fine. I'm with Travis in this sense. Like, I don't understand the logic of we're playing a casual mode, but like people are upset with the lobby balance, because if you want the lobby balance, then you're going to have to implement skill-based matchmaking. So to me, it's an example of the community, kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth. You can't have it both ways. It has to be one. So to me, let the casual modes have the connection-based matchmaking, but trials. And if you want to consider Iron Banner end game mode, fine. If not, casual, fine. But competitive needs that. And I feel like they are the creators of one of the greatest systems as far as the ranking and that whole kind of like ELO kind of thing themselves. They're the creator of it with Halo. So I don't see why they don't want to kind of completely invest into that aspect, especially with competitive. And then the last thing, because y'all know I'm team reward. And if we're going to do the competitive, I just want those players rewarded. It doesn't, everything has to be mountaintop and recluse, but I do feel there should be those activities to incentivize me going into that mode, because it really did. It really made me get better. It made me really covet mountaintop. I seen E in there, going in there doing things, saying that he probably wouldn't have normally done, because there was that carrot at the end. Like, man, I really want that. And I think it kind of sucked when, I never got not forgotten Lunas. I never earned that. But I was okay with it. I was just like, hey, I wasn't good enough to get it, and I didn't put the time in to get it, right? So I felt it when people who earned that in blood, sweat, and tears, and then it's, okay, now we're just sunsetting that thing. That hurts. I feel it. Shout out to Gaben Forte. So that's just where I'm at with it. I understand both arguments. I understand the argument about wanting to just, play with a loadout and have fun. But to me, it's like, okay, we got standard control. We got all these other modes. People could go in there and do that, rumble and all that stuff, and hopefully it can live there. But it'll be interesting to see how they move forward with this thing.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with everybody here. Competitive comp, whatever it's going to be called in Destiny, needs a complete revamp, because the glory system right now isn't quite there. If they could do a true ladder, a true anything else in competitive, that whole system needs to actually, as you said, have the skill ranking to it and that level. If there could be, a little more casual, go in, practice, play a couple different modes, but having a true sweaty mode where you can climb up the ranks, and then, as you said, Cog, have the rewards in there. Whether it might be a weapon, whether it might be skins, whether it might be ornaments, whether it might be, what are those stupid things now? Mementos, shaders, emotes,
emblems.
whole bunch of stuff, emblems, all of those things to say, I've kicked more and more ass than anybody else in here this season. Like, emblems are emblems, those types of things are not as much where they need to make it, are not, I would say, overly difficult. It seems like they can produce those in a quicker manner. Those are the type of things that I would like to see them put into. And you're like, hey, if you get up to, what is Halo's Onyx? If you get up to Onyx in Destiny 2 or whatever that is, you get something elite that season, and you're only going to be able to get it that season. And that's them putting a true team on a comp playlist that's going to have a continual investment that they put into it. And that's just a big investment for Bungie to do.
Last point I'll say is, what I know it's silly, but you know what I respected when I used to go to the tower and I seen someone have Redrix with that ornament that I know he earned that. Like, 'cause remember, Redrix
Yeah.
was a problem, bro. Remember
Yeah.
Redrix to get it
Yeah.
at first when it first dropped?
It's
Whew.
possible.
Yeah. I
I think they
respected
should
that
make.
guy.
I think they should make titles too for
Yeah,
different
sure, dude.
steps
I
in the
mean,
ladder.
there's so much opportunity in this
yeah.
game for cosmetics, titles, emblems. You just listed like a trillion things you can make for rewards from
Oh,
competitive from a ladder.
listen.
Like there's so much potential to put like meaningful loot behind PvP, and I think that's something we've really been missing. Like, I mean, look at Witch Queen. We had so many new weapons, and how many new weapons were there in Crucible? Like 2, 3.
2.
Like, yeah,
That hand
there's
cannon
like
that I have 50 of.
All the cosmetics were Eververse as well.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
We're
So
gonna have to run down on tests.
there has to be like, if Destiny's gonna continue to be a PvP and a PvE game, we need like something in PvP that's meaningful to like. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on Team Loot. We need someone to like make
Loot,
good
yeah.
rewards in Crucible to make people like actually have a reason to play it. Because I mean, if it's a looter shooter game, like a big motivation for playing
Oh, I
any
love him.
activity
I love him
is
bringing
gonna
back
be the
everything.
loot. So I mean,
Love him.
the main like there's some PvE activities that honestly suck, like they're boring, but people play them because of the loot. So I mean, even if people
Yep.
hate Crucible, like if you put loot there, people are still gonna want to go for it. So I don't know.
What's your channel? Let's
Stop
complete.
saying
What's your shadow number? Wait, hold on. Let's put his shadow in the
No,
description.
hold on.
y'all.
Okay,
I want
before
you guys
this
to
starts,
just digest what he said. Just digest what he said.
Put his shadow
What?
in the description.
No, all I was
Show
gonna
you
say-
something now.
all I was gonna say is, if you guys want to post on Twitter, if you guys hashtag us anywhere, the hashtag of the week is Team Loot. I just got to throw that out
Even in
there.
shadow, subscribe for good loot. My guy. I like this. Every week
No, you
wanna
made
come.
Cognito happy. Earlier,
You made
Travis
all
is
of us
happy.
at one point.
Travis
We
is
all-
not happy right now. I'm
Nah,
just
you
happy
know
you're
why?
here because of the
This is
diversity of
great.
these two. This is so great. I'm
This is
loving.
awesome. He actually fits in the middle with a lot of our philosophies.
Yeah.
All of us. And it's kind of
It's a
cool to
good
see.
mix. Anyway,
Because,
so
we did
with
the most
regards to
important
Iron
one,
Banner,
Shadow, just so you know, the reason you stepped in it there was because last episode, I think it was last episode,
yeah,
was
I
it?
think it was.
Cog and I got into a knockdown drag out over whether you should fix the loot system or make the actual game mode fun. And I was on team game being fun. I can't believe that I have to even say that I'm
team
on that.
both.
And he was on
Yeah,
team
I'm on team
loot.
both.
No, you said team loot. Don't talk to me about that. You said even if they hate Crucible, they'll play it for the loot. So like that's not team game being fun.
I said
That's-
they could walk and chew gum at the same time.
I'm pretty sure
Alright.
you can be on both teams. I mean, I think
I'm
loot is
okay.
definitely
You can
important.
walk and chew gum at the same
Team fun
time.
loot.
Team Fun Loot.
Sure.
Hashtag
look
Team
at
Fun
this
Let's be
Loot.
honest. We're
Let's
all
be
on
clear.
team fun loot. I'm just saying you can walk and chew gum at the same time. But if you had to say which one was more important, the gum or the walking, I would say the walking is
adversarial.
probably more important, guys. Let's be honest. We
He's
don't
so
need the gum.
adversarial. He's so
I will be adversarial on this
All
topic.
right, we're not
because I
going
believe-
through this again. We're gonna move forward. But yes, Shadow, you
Shout out to
unfortunately
Shadow.
you
Shout out to
touched
Shadow.
you poked the proper
That's my
poked the bear
guy.
of Travis,
That's my
which was
guy,
I
man.
loved how you did. You were like, he was so good. I'm so on board. And then yeah, but that was hilarious.
Make sure
Anyway,
y'all member the channel. Y'all can subscribe.
Yeah,
got
please
the
go
membership
find-
open. We gotta pay this man.
make sure if you guys haven't followed Shadow, find him on YouTube, find him on Twitter, find him on Instagram. Where do you stream? Twitch? Occasionally?
Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So find
once a week.
find him everywhere, please. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow. Go watch his video. Put that playlist on, like, let it play while you're sleeping. Support this man. He's a great creator.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. As for Iron Banner, now we're actually getting back to the TWAB a little while later. Iron Banner is going to get a reputation rework. So it's going to be similar where you got Engram focusing, kind of like Trials, it feels like. But you've got a little bit more of a tweak to the reputation. And this is one of those things where they really want Iron Banner to be a thing. So you've got the reputation, but you've got ways to make your reputation gains faster. So if you're wearing Iron Banner armor or ornaments, which I have to give a massive thumbs up for that one, which that's huge. You're going to get your reputation faster if you're wearing 5 pieces of armor, ornaments, or weapons. If you complete the daily Iron Banner challenge, it's going to tack on 100% to your challenge for each one during the course of Iron Banner. So you'll earn that reputation even faster. And if you're wearing the emblem, that's 10% more. Everything else is probably going to be like, get your engrams as you rank up on reputations, focus those in your armor, your weapons, kind of similar to the way it is right now. I was curious what you guys thought about the whole, we want you to look like you are sponsored by Saladin's Iron Banner to go into Iron Banner. I was like, you have been NASCAR like patched everywhere. Your car, you look like the sponsored ghost that's in
the advanced GG.
Yeah, yeah. Hashtag sponsored, hashtag ad.
Shell?
Yes. The sponsored shell. Oh my god, it's like
awesome.
everything's on there. It's a hashtag sponsored shell, but yeah, we hashtag ad. We got to put the hashtag ad on this one. I was curious your guys' thoughts. Do you wish the reputation was there? Do you like the idea if you really lean into the Iron Banner look that you can earn more? Just kind of curious if you guys have any care or thoughts about this, or you're just going to do it because it's what you got to do.
I think it's fine with me. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a fast improvement over our current system, and adding cool things like put on your armor for extra reward or extra reputation. That's, I don't know. It's personally fine with me. I don't really think it's like going to be a massive issue. But I wasn't that a thing in Destiny 1 where like you'd put on a certain emblem.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was always cool. You run into a team and they're all running the banner emblem. They're serious about it or something. I don't know. I think that's fine.
You're like the solo player who jumps in. Why has everybody got the same emblem on and I'm not? I gotta figure this out. Yeah.
So I like it overall.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, daily challenge. Oh no, daily
Okay,
challenges. It just says for the first 4 days you're gonna have an Iron Banner challenge. If you log in on Friday, you're gonna be able to work on all 4, so you can go hard on the weekend if you want to. But I would honestly say the most important thing that happened out of this entire TWAB, not really, but for one of ours, there's a new title coming for Iron Banner, and it is called Iron Lord. Literally, Iron Lord's podcast is here in the house. Cog, how you feeling, sir? Are you going to Disneyland next? What's happening?
Well, we've talked about this since this podcast started. It was a travesty that this title did not exist, especially for Iron Banner, especially a PvP focused title, long overdue. Literally, our podcast was based on Destiny, based on Rise of Iron. I've been clamoring for this since I bought that $10 emote with the Iron Lord. Remember this? When we had this was $10. I bought that just to show off how Bungie I wanted this. I don't care what I gotta do. Y'all know I don't care about titles. I don't care what I gotta do. Cog is getting this title. So if I butcher you, I harass you. If I say, hey, what are you doing? If they want
you gotta get 100,000 glaive kills, he'll be out there doing it.
Whatever, it's going down. When you see me in the tower, Iron Lord, LordCognito. Oh, it's going down. I cannot wait. Now, question: Young Wolf is a title too, or is a quest?
Becoming a Young Wolf is the new quest. Not a title.
Okay, that's a quest. Okay, that's
yeah, sorry. Addict will have to be Iron Lord as well. He
won't be his own title. I was gonna say, but no, this is long overdue, and we're taking them more serious. These are just the little things, Bungie. Right? Again, we like wearing the gear. Now, I will say, I know we didn't get to this yet, but they did. They're gonna rework a lot of other things with the reward system and stuff like that. Please bring back the D1 armor set with the fire in the chest. Like, really go all in, man. Let's take.
Yeah, they got to get a new set of armor next season. They have to do that. I hope.
Go, man. But nah, this means a lot to me. My literal podcast is founded off this. Destiny, I wouldn't be anything where I would be if it wasn't for Destiny in this game and Iron Lords and Iron Banner. That's what we did. So it's a great day.
I knew that was a huge W for you. Yeah,
I'm excited.
A few things. One. If you get that Iron Lord title, you have to also equip the last word on your character for the entire season.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Fully sponsored, branded NASCAR driver. 2, I hope, just because you have to do it, I hope that title is a nightmare. I hope that they make you, run around on Mars and get those collectibles. What were those?
They made me do a PvE thing to get the.
Yeah. You're gonna need to finish the Master Vow challenges while wearing the Iron Banner ornaments or something.
Bro, they do that.
I hope one of the triumphs is that you have to play through the Curse of Osiris campaign 100 times.
Worth it. This is pure torture.
Shadow,
bro.
are you gonna be an Iron Lord?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know what I gotta subject myself to, but it's going down.
And I'd want you to stream it. I want you to stream yourself playing the Curse of Osiris campaign 100 times.
The only thing would pay me is they do any of that Ebontis stuff, any of that solo dungeon, no PVE solo thing.
Yeah, you're gonna need to go ahead and do a solo flawless run of prophecy for this one. It's in there. I've seen the quest already, so you're good.
Also, I feel very strongly that if you were an Iron Lord in Destiny 1, you should get this title automatically. Because literally I am an Iron Lord. Like my guardian is.
Yeah, remember?
I have that title. They used to call me Iron Lord before he got amnesia in Destiny 2 and forgot that it's his boy. So yeah, I don't know. That bums me out a little bit.
It's the Destiny 2 title. You gotta earn it fresh. It's
no, but Travis is right. By law, we were made Iron Lords, and he gave us, what is it, Young Wolf's Howl sword?
Yeah,
we have the title already, so it's interesting.
Sure.
How they're gonna give it to us back.
They gotta make you earn the new cosmetic for putting the time in. We know this.
Yeah, Saladin, he forgot about the little people when he became a Brachus. He's really just outgrown people.
Shadow, do you see what I deal with every week? This is this every week. Now, I do have a question for you guys on this piece of the TWAB, because I had a bit of a moment when I was even reading this thing out, and it was Saladin has changed his out to lunch, be back in 15 minutes sign, or hangs his sign, due to his increased responsibilities on Caiatl's War Council. I love the lore reasons for this. He now runs Iron Banner in the tower just twice a season. Because Iron Banner will be more in line with those annual events, you'll never see Iron Banner run during those annual festivities. For Season 17, Iron Banner will run these times: Week 2, May 31st, Week 8, July 12th. That's it. On top of that, we haven't got to the game mode yet, which we will here in a second. Rift is coming back. The only times you are going to play Rift in Season 17 are those 2 weeks in Iron Banner. So we'll get to the details on Rift if you guys haven't seen it. I'll just tell you what it is real quick. It's fine. I'll just go through. Basically, if you haven't played Rift before, it was in Destiny 1. There's a spark in the middle, picture like a little glowing ball. You would pick it up, and you would try and go dunk it, sometimes with style if you did a reverse dunk, into your team's basket, basically. That is Rift kind of in a small nutshell. There's a couple tweaks to it where now you're going to be able to pick up the spark. It's going to act like basically a buff where you're still going to be able to use your weapons. But the idea is you pick it up in the middle. There's no points for killing, so it's all about the objective of getting your spark, or the main middle spark, to the team's basket and dunking, and you got to do that a number of times. That's the mode. We'll get to the point of if you guys like that back. But I wanted to ask you guys, they bring back a new mode. You guys can probably pick up my tone already.
Not that you're leading the witness.
Yeah, no, I'm not leading the
about an opinion.
Not leading the witness one bit.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care, because they give us a new game mode. They do a rework to Iron Banner, and we're going to see it twice in the entire 3-month season long. I'm not thrilled that, for one, that the Rift isn't going to be a rotator, even a rotator, until season 18. So somebody explain to me why this is 2 weeks for the only piece of the season that this is in here.
I got you, baby girl. Don't worry about it.
Go.
Or is anybody on my team here of where you're not thrilled that this is only, like, Rift is in here 2 weeks in the entire season?
No.
No one's on. No one.
Let me hear it.
But I think that it's fine the way. I wish Rift was at least a little bit more accessible, but especially for the first season, I'm fine with the way that they've laid it out.
Okay, why?
Okay, so first of all, it's gonna make Iron Banner extremely hyped. Like, people, like, especially with the rework, especially with the new game mode, especially with the loot, people are gonna be extremely excited to jump into Iron Banner, and the population is gonna be like way higher than anything we've seen in like a PvP mode in ages. So there's going to be a ridiculous amount of hype around Iron Banner. Everyone's going to want to go play it. Everyone's going to want to go try the new mode. And if it was just like a common thing that happens, like, every couple of weeks we get to play Rift, if it's a more exclusive, more rare thing, it makes the hype so much more elevated, and it makes it so much more coveted to actually play Iron Banner.
Makes the heart grow fonder, Ebontis.
Mm.
If you get
Okay, you
Iron
don't think 3
Banner
years of
every-
no new modes and no new maps is enough distance to grow fonder?
I hear you. I hear
Come
you.
on,
And
come on.
I'm just saying.
that argument does kind of irk me, but I feel like it is going to make it like really interesting and really like it's going to get a lot of people into the mode at the same time, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah. I don't actually have a strong opinion in here. I just like seeing Ebontis get upset.
Yeah, just seeing them upset. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have any strong opinion on this. Yeah, I get you, E. I get you, E. I
What
do
if
get
you were
you.
out of town for that week and then
No,
you
I
weren't
know, I
able to
get
get
you.
your Iron Lord until maybe
And
next
I
season?
would look in a mirror and say the word casual and
Oh!
realize that maybe I should have prioritized my life a little better. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
you gotta get your
Yeah.
priorities straight. The Iron
Yeah.
Lord is more important than your vacation.
Oh, I gotta
Come
go
on.
see
Yeah.
my family.
I gotta
okay,
I gotta
all right.
cancel
Well, then
this-
don't play Iron Banner.
I gotta
Okay.
cancel these flights and these plane tickets because I gotta get this
Yeah.
video game title.
Yeah. Have you thought about having no life outside of Destiny? Yeah, casual.
Listen,
Wow.
man.
Okay, I gotta ask Cog, like, what if this thing
Yeah,
maybe
man.
takes you 20, 30 hours and you got a crazy schedule? If you can't get it in the 2 weeks, you can't even get Iron Lord in the season it comes out?
I got an X screen. I got X Cloud. I got to make it happen somehow. But no, look, to your point, I understand where you're going with it, but it's kind of like, here's the thing. I remember in D1, hey, come on, let's take it back, y'all. Let's all go to the time machine. Let's go back to D1.
Hot tub style? Or?
I remember, yeah, I remember when they would make it Rift or Clash, right? And dudes would be like, it's this again. Like, they would get frustrated that it wasn't consistently controlled, right? So I worry that the newness of Rift would wear off on more of a consistent cadence. Because let's be honest, even though I know.
I have an opinion. I have an idea there.
Go.
So, why is it that we've had Iron Banner be controlled for like 3 years? They've already had the option to be like, hey, what do we have, like 4 Iron Banners a season? Ballpark.
Mhm.
Control, Clash, control, Mayhem. They already have the ability, and have for a long time, to mix it up. Why do you have to make it only 2 and Rift? What if you had, a control, Rift? You have the same cadence of them, but 2 of them were Rift.
But remember, they made the statement that they will never do Iron Banner and Trials again on the same week. So Trials still has to exist on those off weeks based on the new cadence. I'm not saying you agree with it, but that's what they say. So the way I look at it is off week Trials, off week Iron Banner, and then if they want the live event that we all hate for the most part.
Yeah, it was like the seasonal events, the stuff
Yeah.
that everybody
See,
really
to
is worried
me,
about.
Where I meet you in the middle is on the seasonal event. I don't got no problem with it being there. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But they want to. It seems like they want to differentiate each activity and give it this special feel. But I understand your point. If you look at it 2 weeks, yeah, that's rough. If you can't make it, yeah, it's gonna suck. Like, if you can't get stuff done. In a weird way, I don't feel as strongly as I thought I would feel against it.
I didn't think I was actually going to be in the minority. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really think it, because let's be honest, bro, they've been killing Banner. Like, Banner was the Band-Aid for we ain't got no content this season.
That was the 6-month season.
real.
I get that. That was the 6-month season Band-Aid every so often. I get that.
Mhm.
But now we're in a point where you got a little shorter story cadence. You got like 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it's going to be. It feels like maybe the season's longer. Who knows? But I mean, then what do you get for the rest of the season? We're going to have a dungeon, which will be cool, but you're going to beat it. You're going to solo it. All those things will be a thing. And yeah, we're going to have the rotations for old raids, but I have my questions of the value of those anyway.
Mhm.
But it's the idea of PvP has been asking for something for so long. The map will be in rotation. We'll get to that in a second. But it's the idea that we get a new game mode and you get to see it for 2 weeks of an entire season. And one of the things in Jogoroth's long 21 segment TWAB was we're going to have multiple game modes next year. This is the first one we see and you get it twice. And that's just like, for me, I guess, I don't know. I would think the game mode would be at least in the rotator as well. I mean, I know they're trying to hype up Iron Banner, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. It's just, to me, PvP's been asking for this for a while, and it didn't feel like enough. But maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe people are going to be happy for the hype, and it's going to blow up the playlist. Who knows?
And I see where you're going. The only counter I have is it is a week though. That's a full reset. Like 7 days, you can't. There's not one day you could get on.
I'm
Like,
not saying that's it, but I'm just saying you get 1 week and maybe there's the dude who gets to play on Saturday.
Okay.
And that's just like when he gets to play Destiny, he's casual. He gets 2 Saturdays an entire season to experience Rift. And one's in week 2, and then the next one's 6 weeks later, and maybe he's busy that Saturday. I'm just like, it's just not a giant window is my only thing, and I'm gonna like let it alone now because apparently I'm in the minority and it's fine. I was just like, I just was kind of curious. So anyway, so we got a couple.
I do hear you. I think PvP just needs more things in general. Like this wouldn't even be a conversation if they actually made more PvP content.
Yeah, I was like, if it was just like, hey, cool, new thing this season for PvP, it's like, that's the first time we've said that in, as you said, about 1,000 days since we've said a new thing for PvP this season. But Rift should be cool, should be a fun game mode. I'll be very curious how it plays with the new sandboxes, the abilities. You got bubbles, you got overshields, and super recharge. I'm be really curious how that all goes, so that'll be very interesting. Is there anything you guys see with regards to picking up the orb and dunking it as being like an epic strategy? Is everybody going to run transversive steps to sprint faster? Like, is there a point where you guys see anything already for Rift that we've got right now being advantageous to use like the first week out?
Blink?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I
I
think
think you can't
I don't
blink
know.
while carrying the orb.
Well, I don't know. Is that going to be a thing? We'll see.
I don't think it was.
right now it says-
D1. In D1, I vividly remember using Twilight Garrison to dash around, and
Well, see, the difference was in D1, you would like almost go like third person, you would like hold the orb, wouldn't you? This one they say
Yeah.
the spark itself is a buff that allows full weapon and ability usage aside from super. So you just won't be able to super, but abilities and weapons are in there.
Oh, yeah, you can kill with it.
you're also way faster in D2, which I think is a problem with this mode, especially on the existing maps. So I'll be interested to see how they solve that, because it could end up being way too easy to score and not require enough strategy, especially since it's a buff. What does it buff?
It's just going to show as like on the bottom left-hand corner. It's just going to show like the
So
little.
It's not an actual buff.
It's just going to say like Rift Holder or something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the Rift Holder being able to shoot.
Yeah.
I kind of missed the rugby, touchdown.
You're holding the ball and you got to get like
assembly line. Everybody hold me down. I kind of missed that. I don't know how I feel about that just yet. With the Rift Holder being able to kind of do everything a Noble Guardian can do except super. I don't know if that's a stiff enough pedal. I don't know. It just felt weird because I kind of like, yo, hold me down so I could get it across the 5 goal, this yard line, and just we moving that ball. I missed that aspect of it.
And then you do like the backflip dunking it in the
Yes,
that was so cool. Yeah,
so cool.
I don't know. I'm sure they've play tested and come up with a system that at least works pretty well. So we'll have to see. I do hear your point.
Sinister just said it in chat that Eager's Edge is probably going to have to get turned off for that.
Oh, word.
I didn't even think about that. That sword, if you pick up heavy and be like, all right, I got heavy, I'm going to just like fly over there.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Yeah. That's definitely got to go.
You can't hold the buff for too long. They did say that, so you won't be able to like camp and like hunker down. So it may be the idea of fighting, but that's kind of one of those things. If you get a couple people running with that like god tier player and he's just like mowing people down with a couple support, I'll be curious to see how it plays. Because I'm with you. I miss the fact that like you were the ball carrier and you needed help to get there. I did kind of like the team
aspect.
There.
Yeah.
We'll see.
This is just like Slayer in a way. You just pick up a thing and okay, you're glowing. But all right, we'll see. I'm gonna be fair and wait to play it and see it first.
The other piece, we get a new map. So
Sweet.
this is the 1,000-year wait. No, 1,000-day wait.
Feels like it.
Yeah. The map is called Disjunction. It is a symmetrical map with a base on either end, 3 lanes with plenty of crossovers. They said it's got lanes for short, medium, and long range style combat. And it is one of our largest maps yet, they state. So with regards to you guys were saying, if it's built for Rift.
Yep, sounds like it. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's built for Rift specifically because it is longer, as you guys said, the range to cover. And you're not going to have Rift on Anomaly, for example. That would be just ridiculous. unless the thing that you have to dunk is on the rotating platforms. That would be hilarious to try and see people dunk on the middle of Anomaly.
Do
But
you think this map will be able to come up outside of Rift, or do you think it will be a Rift-only map, aka we're not actually getting a new map?
it's going to be available.
No, I think it would be
So they actually stated Disjunction will be available day 1 of Season 17 for all 6v6, 3v3, and free-for-all modes in Crucible, as well as Iron Banner. So the map is in the mix everywhere. So you're good to go there. They're not limiting it to Rift. So we'll get to experiencing it. But Iron Banner's week 2, so Rift is going to be kicked off pretty quick as well.
Nice.
Shout out to a thematic map for the season.
I know we actually got
It's not like a great
we
thing.
got
Like,
a pyramid ship map.
like it matches what's going on. And like, wow.
Where was
I
that
just
with
wanna
Europa?
say,
Yeah, right.
After almost 3 years, I mean, I know Lord Shax was dealing with supply chain issues, as we all were. But I'm just glad he was able to
shortage.
overcome that and get a new map out the door.
He finally got a shipment. It's been delayed for so long.
finally
They
got
finally
it,
got
man.
the microchips they were waiting for. They finally got them.
Yeah, they needed the microchips to make the new map.
They've got some other Crucible changes. They basically state for like zone control, they're going to bring that one back as well as kind of a thing. So they say that's going to be all about the time that you have capping the zones versus the actual kills. So it's all about the objective play, which might make people better at capping the zones as opposed to be like, hey, here's this zone we need to capture. Why are you running away? Happens all the time. Elimination, that one's basically going to match the respawn time of trials. Control is going to be the team gains 1 point per participant when capturing a zone rather than the flat 1 point. So now if you got 6 people, you're going to get 6 when you actually cap a point. So they seem to be leaning a little more into objective play, which is probably not a bad thing. Rumble, the time limit's been increased to 10 minutes. I don't know if I've ever had a Rumble match go to time, because usually there's one person kicking everybody's butt really fast, so I don't know why that's necessary, but maybe. Mayhem, points for super kills are increased to 3. Total score is up to 200, but they decrease the time. Mayhem's just fun. Rook said it in chat. I with Mayhem was just around, because it's one of my favorite ways to just like, oh, absolute chaos. Let me go have fun for a little while. I love Mayhem just to go goof off for a bit. I just wish it was there. Always. Gambit's doing some reputation changes, which I don't need to spend too much time on that. So that's just going to get updated. They are updating the streak system, which sounds more convoluted than it has to be, which is just weird. Like, why? But the idea is if you spend like all your time in Crucible and you go do like, hey, your friends want to run 1 strike, it's not going to completely kill your Crucible streak. It's going to take it down 1. But if you do like 1 strike and then 1 Crucible match and then 1 of the other, then yeah, you're going to be in a bit of a mess. But the idea is like if you take a break for one thing and you come back, you only have lost 1 streak. That's probably better. Also, Grandmasters are going to have rejoin. If you do get error coded, that's, God forbid, probably a good thing. They also have a giant cosplay thing coming on July 7th, which is going to be Bungie Day. So we'll see more about that over the summer. But they've got some really high-end cosplayers going basically full send for some cool stuff. So I'll be very curious what they do. But that is most of the TWAB outside of some little random stuff. So I kind of wanted to ask you guys, as most people are thinking Solar 3.0, we got Iron Banner coming. And then Shadow, you're kind of the first one. As you do mostly PvP generally, where did you enjoy the season of the Risen? Did you play it that much, or did you just like knock it out and leave it? Are you excited for the story lore, or is that anything that really like gets you going for the next season?
I'm not super into the lore. I don't know much about it. I don't know. I think I would like to get into it a little bit more in the future, and just like with PvE in general, I feel like I've kind of neglected it a little bit, and it's I don't know. I don't give it enough credit. But overall, I am definitely more PvP focused, so I'm excited for the PvP stuff that's coming.
Nice.
Cool.
Gentlemen, what about you guys? What do you... Because I'm guessing the cadence next week is going to be Monday or Tuesday, like teaser, 20-second, 30-second little Twitter teaser. Then Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever the next day is, we get the full trailer. Day after that, or same day, if like Wednesday is going to be the website reveal, Thursday is going to be the giant TWAB, maybe telling us about Solar 3.0, maybe there's a tease about the story. Where are you guys at with regards to Season 17 for... just like hype level? Are you excited for it? Is any of this getting you ready? You're just like, you've got to wait until next week and then you're going to be hype train full send. Where are you guys at?
think it didn't hit me yet that I don't feel this is a weird season for me because I guess I was so wrapped up with Witch Queen that like, Season of the Risen was kind of like an afterthought, but it was cool, and then we kind of wrapped up quick. So it just feels like, oh wow, we're ready for the new season already. Like I don't know, it's just a weird thing where I felt like for the first time, I know what it is. It's coming off of the last season and how long that was.
That's fair.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this is how it used to be. Like before how long was the drought with Season of the
It
Lost?
was 6-month long season, but it was a 3-month
Oh.
extra push. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I forgot, like, oh yeah, this is the cadence now. So now I'm like, oh yeah, I got to get back in there, finish up some things I got to do. But yeah, I'm ready. I want to see where the marketing goes. I want to see what we doing. As far as are we finally getting this Rasputin situation? What's going on? What's going on in my opinion, the smaller sub story that's going to hold off the major story, even though we want the major story.
Yeah.
We ain't getting that. Like we gonna get some in the corner, secluded, self-contained, Annabelle something or whoever something, and figure that out. But yeah, I am excited. I want to see the marketing. They always do a great job with that. I want to see what the trailer hit. And then obviously, which of the 3.0s we getting, whether it be solar, and how is it going to affect? And do I have to dust off some solar legendaries to synergize with, some of this new stuff? So that's where I'm at with it. And that stuff is always exciting to me. So yeah, I'm ready.
Travis, where are you at?
Yeah.
Are you kind of even keel until next week?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to not really have time to get that hyped these days because I'm always busy with stuff, and as we talked about before the show, I'm always excited when games get delayed because I'm trying to catch up constantly. But I would say probably Solar 3.0 is the thing I'm most excited about that we know about right now. And but the thing I'm always most excited about with new seasons, new content drops, is the stuff I don't know about yet. So I hope that they surprise us in some cool way that I'm not expecting. That's honestly what I'm always here for. So hopefully they'll do something new and not just give us a 6-person match-made activity that makes me want to die. That's my hope. So
yeah, no, that's probably fair. I'm at the point to where I know when the trailer drops, the hype's gonna go. We all know Bungie makes damn good trailers. The marketing team, the capture team who puts those together, who gets those shots, they do a really, really good job. Even with the Guardian Games trailer, you see them get those little, they're very good at what they do for marketing, so I know the hype's going to be there. I think I'm with Travis where I'm looking for that one thing that I don't expect. We expect a subclass. We expect, a 4 to 5 week story. If they do a longer one, as long as it's, not dragged out, it feels good. And the big question, as usual, is going to be the activity. I mean, how many different ways are we going to shoot the enemies in the face this season type thing? Because we know that's what we do. But again, is there going to be a little mix up to it? And that's, I think, probably the exciting point is I know the Bungie devs on Twitter have been very excited about the narrative. And I'm very curious what their hype Bungie yelling, I'm so excited for you guys to see the narrative tweets are all about, because I haven't seen the narrative team be this pumped and this vocal theoretically on Twitter in quite a long time. And I'm curious as to why. Because either they're bringing a character up that's going to be, a huge lead into Lightfall. They're bringing, some character interaction that's going to happen. There's like a big moment. That's the stuff that I'm curious to see, because we know all the things around the systems are going to be there. We know we're going to be playing the playlists more than we probably prefer to. We're going to have to do a little bit of Pinnacle grinding. That stuff's there. I'm pumped for the dungeon. I know I'm getting a dungeon, so it's going to be figuring it out. But it's the story surprise, and then hopefully one more surprise that we get in the season. I'm curious to see what they do. But Witch Queen was very good. Risen actually wasn't a dumpster of a season to go with Witch Queen, because we've had questionable seasons with expansions the last couple, and this is the first time they both hit. And I think that's where, with this momentum going into, this year, I think this season's going to hopefully tell us a lot about what this year looks like for Destiny, because year 5 started off well. Now can it keep it going?
Yep, I agree. I agree with your point, though. To see them that excited about the next season is very interesting. Usually they don't get that level of hype unless it's an expansion. And to see them so clearly there's some story beats that they're excited, to get into. So yeah, we'll see what's up, man.
Yep. But yeah, that's mostly all I got, man. Shadow, it has been an absolute pleasure having you with us tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know schedules can get busy and things, so we appreciate the carving out the 2 hours in your evening for us. But at this point, basically what I want to do is extend the floor to you. Tell everybody where to find you, what you got cooking, if you got a big video in the works, because you have an insanely large channel for not that many videos, so everyone's a banger. So if you got an idea what the next one is cooking, you know, what we can look forward to from you. But basically, where can they find you? What can they expect? And please, everybody, go follow him. Watch his content, and if you want to be a better Crucible player, he is one of the better people who are going to make you think differently about the game. But now the floor is yours.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was good talking with all you guys. So the next video I'm working on is that basically I went through the entire history of the game since like Destiny 1 all the way up to current and found like the most hated and the most like despised things that have ever happened. And I'm basically making a video about all of those things. So that's gonna be my next one.
One-eyed mask has to be in there.
Oh, it's literally the thumbnail.
See, New Titans was ready to
There
tell
you
that's
go.
right.
Called it.
Yes, I have a few more big ideas on the horizon, but we'll have to see how that goes with the whole new season. I did mention previously about my sniper rifle tier list. I'm probably going to do that again soon. But yeah, I'm excited. So you can find me on YouTube and Twitch, Shadow Destiny, and then my Twitter and Instagram is LTZ Shadow.
Yeah, salute Shadow Destiny, man. Killed it, man. I love what you did. Brought a lot of energy. Great, fresh takes, spicy takes. I like that. Love the content, man. Yeah, it's really cool, unique. I like the Mythbuster stuff. That was dope.
Dude, that
too.
video
Like,
went insane.
yeah, like you killed that. And just I like you have a very unique approach to your Destiny content. So I'm looking forward to the most hated stuff. I want to see Prometheus Lens in there. I want to see the Reign of the Lord of Wolves. That was a tough time.
Yep.
And even though Lord was one of my favorites, but you know, I'm dying to see what you got in there. But I salute you for pulling up, coming through. Lot of fun, man. Trav, anything for our guests?
You can read my review of Trek Diomi, which went live last week, or watch the video like Cog did. I do agree, Cog. I think it was one of my better reviews.
One of
I
your
like,
best.
It was very good.
I like to think I'm getting better.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
This week I'm working on Evil Dead, the game, as I mentioned, which I think comes out tomorrow. So we got late review codes, but I'm going to try to have it by end of next week. And other than that, you can see a bunch of content I'm making. I made a Destiny raid guide. If you still haven't done Vow of the Disciple, I think my guide's pretty okay. First piece of content I've worked on anything like that. And then I've got some previews of games I can't talk about, but you can read all my stuff on IGN.com. You can watch me argue with a lawyer, Ains, an industry veteran, and a puppet's corpse come to life named Dan. That's on the Bitcast show. And you can follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis or you know what, add me on Xbox Live, PlayStation, also TyGuyTravis. I'll play with some people. I try to play with the community every once in a while. I have time, so hit me up for that. And love you guys. Still looking forward to GCX, even though it's going to be one of the most stressful weeks of my life. But it'll be fun. So.
I'm feeling for you on that, bro. We're gonna talk.
Yeah.
We gotta talk.
Yeah.
We gotta talk. But
no, honestly, real quick, thank you for the super chat. Rel, Spider dies and comes back as a guardian. That would be quite a trick. There's rumors of what he's doing right now, but yeah, that would be. They can do some crazy stuff. We'll have to see. But no, I just want to say thank you, Shadow, again for taking the time. Awesome guest. Thank you for working our way through the world of the skill-based matchmaking discussion. Didn't mean to get quite. Oh no, happy to have. That's honestly what I would love to have, like a civil discussion of, like, let me get some, like, all the different mindsets about skill-based. I'd love to get, like, high-level PvP players on both sides, just to have that debate back and forth and just to see. But it's like, it's good to get the reasoning as to why and kind of the debates going back and forth. And that's why we're here, is like, if we can't have civil discussion, then we're kind of missing out on all of this. And that was one thing that we were talking about before as well, is, you know, we're missing the idea to have, like, discourse and differing opinions and stuff like that. And that's a good thing that we're always capable of having here, which I'm happy to see. So just wanted to thank you for coming on. And yeah, your content is fantastic. So keep doing what you're doing and just ride that rocket ship as high as it goes, because you're definitely going nowhere but up.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Well, chat, thank you guys for being here. Chat has been on absolute fire tonight. If you guys are missing if you're not watching the show live, we always do this live on my YouTube channel, 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights. Next week, we're going to have another PvP-focused Gentleman Castle coming on. So we've got another interesting discussion. And next week's also going to be massive hype for, well, Season 17. We're going to have a lot to talk about for sure. So that will definitely be coming up. And then we are getting close to 200. And I'm working on something fun for 200. We'll see if it can come together. But either way, you guys have been here for a lot of episodes. And I just want to thank you guys. So anyways, if you want to drop likes on the video podcast, if you want to on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen on audio, leave, the high reviews to help us. The more ears that can see us, the better this goes. So thank you very much. I just appreciate all of you guys, my hosts and the guests. Thank you for making this another awesome episode. So for this episode for May 12th, thank you guys for all being here at number 196. And one quick super chat right in the end. Chris, can we please get First Curse back? I forgot that thing existed.
First Curse. Wow.
All right. Well, as we wrap this thing up, thank you guys very much. And for this episode, it has been
The last word.